All right, guys, we are live here with another edition of the Alien Factory podcast. Tonight, we got our special guest, Jeff Maconi. My tongue is getting twisted up. I'm not feeling good this week, but hey, I'm hanging through. And so Jeff's with us tonight. He is the owner of Maconi Setup Shop. He's here to hang out with us and to discuss some stuff with us. And we'll talk to him about all kind of stuff here later. And we got the cast of characters tonight. I'm here, myself, Mike Howerton, Mr. Excitement. We got the Admiral, Tracy Rumschlag. Tracy, how you doing tonight?
Hey, drop your beer, grab your gear. The Admiral's here. But Mike, I got a question for you. How was wine country this week? You were up in New York all week tearing up Watkins Glen. How'd that go?
Oh man, I tell you what, it was great. I go check out the streaming series on the channel, on the YouTube channel. It's called Race to 2K. I just mess around and rode all the time, and like some of the guys in the team got me in the GT3 cars a bunch, and I just plummeted my I rating because I'm horrible at those. And so I went from like 1700 or so down to like 8 or 900. And so this week I didn't like Kansas over in the NASCAR stuff, so I was like, I want to spend the week and see how quickly I can get my I rating up. I spent the whole week in the MX5s at Watkins Glen and went from like 900 I rating up to 20 or 2039, I think is what I did now. So I bumped up about 1,000 I rating in about 5 days on the roadside. So like I was tearing it up, man. I worked and worked and worked, and finally I kept looking at the top times of the guys that were leading the races, like in the middle split and stuff.
What got to me is that you didn't make no enemies out there.
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
I don't know
do
about that. Yeah, you didn't see that race.
Yeah, there was a dust up last night. Well, maybe we'll talk about that later. It was kind of funny, but no, man. Trace, you were there with me the whole time. The whole journey, and like I was running like 120 a minute 26 seconds something, and I was like, man, how these guys running faster than that? Some guys are running like a minute 25s, and then I got into like a middle or upper split race, and they were releasing like minute 24 seconds and something. And I went and got a better setup, and then I made some tweaks to it myself, and I got my times clear down to like, I think my fastest lap this week was a minute 24:3 or something like that. I
I
mean,
thought
that
you
was
said a
just
buck
blazing.
24-1. That was your fastest lap.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was.
It was
That race.
yesterday.
Yeah, because the track had low usage on it, and I was
Yes.
drafting with somebody.
Uh-huh.
120. It was 111. It was a minute 24 111. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I got to where, I mean, I worked hard. I felt good all week, where I was running the same speed as the top guys that were like 4,000 above I rating in top split. And then granted, it was D class Mazdas, but like, hard work can pay off. We got in the Motec, looked at what I was doing, and you replicated it. We got to that one race where you beat me.
Yeah,
So
I'll tell you the story on this. So Mike's doing good all week, right? I'm riding around and I'm way off pace, just like he was. And I thought, Mike, what are you doing, right? So he figured out, he threw me an IBT file. I sat down and crunched the numbers one night after we got, went to bed. And then I looked at it and I found the area that he was killing everybody. And he was like full send into the bus stop, the chicane, the bus stop on the back there. And he was making up huge amount of time. I'm looking at it. And it's like, man, I was getting out of it way early. And once I got over that, then I was able to keep up. And then that's when the fun really kicked in. And we just started doing well too. And then we spent all last night, we do like 4 hours of racing or something crazy. But
yeah,
we
not
spent a lot of time there.
1:30 in the morning. Yeah, it's 9:30 to like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
racing.
I saw you at 1 o'clock in the morning on there on YouTube.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to watch those streams, they're posted. They were a lot of fun. And then, like Mike said, he was like second or third, and somebody dove bomb him on the last corner, last lap, and didn't work out well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, that was a whole different story. It was a couple of. I found it was a couple of A open drivers that had like 6,000 I rating were messing around and those Mazdas like I was, and like maybe I should have replayed in a minute. I got it somewhere, but it was just like, the last turn he was 2 cars back and he dove past the car in between us and then just dove right into me. And if I hadn't have been there, he would have probably slammed in the wall, used my car as like a barrier or something to bounce off of, and just took me out. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," like really like sarcastically. I don't know. And the guy, his buddy was like, "He offered you an apology. You gonna accept it?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't know what to say." I was like, was like, it's not that I wouldn't accept his apology. It just didn't seem very sincere. And then the guy was like, well, maybe the guy who did it was like, well, maybe I don't show emotions or something, well enough on here or something, but I'm sorry, And I was just, and then I watched it again and I'm like, okay, and then the other guy was like, the guy who kept butting in, there was some guy who went and watched the replay and was like, oh yeah, that guy was just full sin. That looks really intentional, And this other guy that was his buddy, he was like, man, why are you nosing other people's business? It didn't happen to you. Like the guy that watched, and like, I'm listening to this whole thing and it was kind of surreal. And then at one point I said something about how, I was like, man, that was a choice, or something like that. And the guy goes, that don't sound very Christian like. And I was like, what? It was like, they were just messing with me, I think. Like, I don't know. And anyway, and then at one point I said, well, I said somehow or another, the oval side got brought up. Those guys are like, we're just, we race oval all the time and we're clean. And I said, well, I race oval all the time too. I was like, I have like, mid 4,000 I rating on oval is pretty high. I was like, I race pretty clean. And that guy goes, oh, I didn't know a 4,000 I rating was high. And I was like, okay, maybe it's not. I was like, I don't know. I mean, whatever, you tell me, dude. And so, and like, nobody was yelling, nobody was fighting. It was just a kind of a surreal conversation. So afterwards, I look them up and like they race almost exclusively cup, some truck, and they have like 6,000 some I think they were just messing with me. But who knows? Like, I don't know what was going on, but like, I didn't let it get to me. The guy's like, I don't want you to go to sleep and think about this for the next couple of days and not getting sleep tonight because he wrecked you. And I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't care. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But anyway, that was kind of crazy. You guys probably go back and watch that live stream if you wanted. It was, what race was it, Tracy? The 12:30 race last night?
Yeah, that was the last one I ran.
Yeah, if y'all want to get some entertainment and go to the end of that, it was pretty wild. So anyway, yeah, that was what I was up to. So we also got on here tonight the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Cook. How you doing,
the number one
man?
team driver. Don't forget
that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a new title for Robert. He's now officially the number one team driver.
Okay, but you guys might not have heard this. But if you lean your numbers forward, you can gain a 10. You can gain a 10. Okay, it's a proven fact. I proved it last week. Lean your numbers forward.
Did Junior help you that?
Yeah, Junior brought that up.
Okay.
His dad told him, when you run, how do you run? You face forward. So I heard that. So let me see where my numbers. I think mine were leaning back. So I leaned mine forward and I gained a 10. That it might be something in I rating. You guys would lean your numbers back or straight up. You might want to start leaning forward and you gain a 10.
Hey, Robert, so let's pretend everybody's like me and had no clue what you were talking about. I was like, what do you mean lean my numbers forward? I said, iRacing stamps on one there. I'm not running a custom number. And I said, what are you talking about? And you told me how it's the, well, why don't you tell everybody what you mean and how to lean their numbers forward? Because I'm sure everybody wants to gain a 10. In fact, I want to cut this little piece of video out and make it a short for the podcast. I'm sure I'll get the most views out of it. In fact, all I got to do is put the title, Robert Cook's tried and true method to gain at least 1 to 2 tenths, 1 to 2 tenths every lap.
Can we check it? Is there a channel for that?
Yeah, well, and I'm sure this will get the most. Why don't you tell everybody how to do it?
You go to your iRacing where you paint your card and you go to numbers where your numbers painted at. And then you see it. You can look down and it says how you want your numbers to lean. Well, you lean them forward. And I guarantee you're going to gain a 10. Guaranteed. If it's nothing else, it's going to build that confidence up is because you got your numbers facing the right way, the way that Junior told you to run it. Okay.
All right. Hey, and Robert. And Robert, how's it going lobbying to get him on the podcast?
Well, I figure if I mention his name once a week, he might show up.
Oh, okay.
I think an email would be quicker, but hey, we'll do it your way.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, how's your week been?
Oh, it's been all over the place. So I work.
Well, wait a minute. Is your numbers facing forward? Are they leaning forward?
Yeah, let's get to that.
So
that'd be a speed secret. Jeff would know.
I guess that's related. So last year we did an event with Richard Childress Racing at Twin Ring, and gosh, let's see. I want to say it was in July or something, but it was right before the Olympics. So we did an event with RCR, and part of the deal was that the car that I was running was a Dale Earnhardt throwback. So I actually keep the die cast of the original car right here. So it was, the original Intimidator scheme. So we recreated it. I don't have, this is the Car Tomorrow version of it.
Yeah,
I got
it's
this.
COT there.
Yeah. Yeah. I got this from guy at the Nashville Fairgrounds who sold die casts. And it was so cool because I'd never seen it before. I have the original one over there, but, so part of it was we did a throwback car to that with all, with Maconi Setup Shop and all of my sponsors and everything. So ever since then, I've been running the 03 and it leans forward. It's the same font and everything. So I run them with them forward.
So you've known this for a long time.
It's a proven fact. Now Jeffrey's running his lane forward, and everybody runs it. You're going to gain a 10.
So I think that's more. I think that's more our setups than anything. But yeah,
yeah. Well, Robert, that's why he runs a setup shop. He knows all those secrets, just like we. In fact, Tracy, I bet if you go to the notes that nobody looks at and the setups they sell, it says right in there, lean your numbers forward, game.
Right.
Yeah. Well, nobody reads the notes. You know how it goes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Trace, what's the number one rule about rebranding a setup from somewhere else?
Always check the notes.
Yeah, always check the notes.
I saw it on Area 51 Alien Factory. They said always check the notes.
We don't have that problem. We've never had to worry about that. But a lot of other places, I mean, we've seen it before where our, copyrights popped up in there, and
oh yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's pathetic, but yeah, sad that has to be a rule. But there are people that still need to know it.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, like I'm laughing because we had
long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Jeff. We had Ken Byron on from Ryko, and he talked about that episode that popped up with Premiere back at the beginning of the year. I think it was like
but that was a long time ago. Remember?
Yeah. Well, it actually has been a while ago
it is now. It is now.
Yeah, now it actually has been a while ago. He came on and told the story about what happened, and he didn't get into tons of details, just kind of what happened. And it was pretty flushed out at that point. Like it was like 3-4 weeks old, like all the facts had already come out, and like he'd already talked about it, and Premiere already released their official statement about it. Like it wasn't like there was any like breaking news happening on the podcast, right? We were just kind of, everything had already been talked about at that point. So anyway, He comes on, tells his story, and we cut it up and make a couple shorts out of it like we usually do at the podcast. And oh my goodness, dude, Premiere was like the most butthurt I've ever seen in my entire life. Like they banned me from their Discord. What else do they do to me? They banned me from their Discord. A few weeks later, like 3-4 weeks later, I was getting into the MX5s, and they sell some MX5 sets, and they had them all on sale for like $3 a piece. And I'm like, $3, I'll go try one and see if it's any faster than like Majors or Garage or VRS or whatever the subscriptions I have. And I went to buy it, and like after I checked out, from the time I checked out to when I went to download it, they saw that it was me that checked out, and they banned my IP address, so I couldn't download them and couldn't go back to the site. And so I'm trying to find something while I'm talking about it because it's so funny. Anyway, so I end up sending a message, an email, just saying, hey, like, okay, like if you guys don't want to sell sets to me, like I don't care. I was like, I just saw these cheap $3 sets. If I grab a couple up and try them out, I was like, if you don't want to, I don't care. I was like, just either send me some setup or some download links where I can either download them or just give me a refund for my few bucks or whatever, and I don't care. And dude, I got back this novel. It was like it was like 4 paragraphs talking about how. I can't even remember. I'm trying to remember verbatim. I got him. I could read him, but it's not. I don't want to look him up. But it was basically the gist of it is they didn't like the videos that I did about them. That it made their company look bad, and that it was like a hit piece. They said I did like a hit piece or something on them. I don't know if that was verbatim from in there. That was the gist, and that they didn't want to sell me sets or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And they go, here's your money back. They gave me a refund. Here's your money back. So then I was like, did they just block my account? So I went and tried to tried to see if it was just my account they blocked, and no, I tried to like sign up my wife or something just to see if it was like, no, it was my IP address, not my account. And I'm thinking that's kind of stupid because most ISPs give different, like, they lease the IP addresses. You don't always have the same one. So I just used my VPN just to check and see. And when I went on my VPN, voila, it was there. So but they wouldn't block my IP address, which I thought was pretty funny. And then here's the latest thing, Trace. They that video that they let's see here, that video that I did, man, where they put it, they put one of those videos we did about them. I was trying to find it. They put a comment on one of those videos too that said that everything that was in the video, they said like something like everything in the video was a lie or something like that. And I'm like, and I actually responded to it, and I was like, I went word by word, like it was hilarious. I was trying to find my response here because I wasn't prepared for this. I didn't know we were going to get into this till Tracy had said something. But I went through.
That's why you got to keep coming back every week, because it's not scripted.
Yeah, really. Well, anyway, I went through line by line of their entire comment, word for word, and told how each part of it wasn't a lie, and used their own press release statements about the subject to show that it wasn't a lie. It was. Yeah, they put out those official, this quote unquote statements or press releases.
Yeah, they had Jen Psaki come out and talk about it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was like one of them was like, it was one setup that guy ripped off supposedly, and wasn't a bunch. Now I've heard that fact's arguable, but anyway, I said fine. I was like fine, but if you sold more than one of that one setup that was ripped off, you literally sold Ryko setups, as in plural. Like, even if they only ripped off one and you sold it 50 times, you've sold.
They didn't sell it 50 times.
Well, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I went through each line of their statement or my statements and showed how it was like, it was fact. And I took their statements, like, our guy who ripped it off, it was one, they said it was one builder, whether it was or not, it was one builder. And then
you're responsible. It's your product.
Yeah, and then they said, that it was sold. It was actually sold some, and it was caught, and they took it off the website, whatever. I was like, okay, so more than, because they said I was lying because I said setups, like they ripped off a bunch. They're like, no, you don't understand. If you ripped off one and you sold it twice on your website, literally you sold Ryko setups plural. You sold more than one. And so anyway, I went through the whole thing, and then finally the last thing I asked him, Jeff, is I said, because they said they made it right by firing the guy or whatever and taking him down. I said, well, if you really made it right, every dollar that you brought in revenue off that sold setup, did you give back to them? And they never answered. But I thought it was hilarious. I got nothing against those guys. Here's the funny thing. They'll probably see this and somebody will show it to them. They'll say, I'm out there sabotage them again. I've got nothing against them.
You'll get protested.
I'll get protested.
The stories I could tell about both locations, the stories I could tell about a lot of places, but I got nothing against. All they have to do is own it. Like, let's say, this is what I kept telling them, let's say that's really what happened, right? Like, really, one rogue dude who was a temporary setup builder is what their story is. Again, I got no reason to doubt anybody's story unless I have facts to the contrary. This is what they're saying. Let's just take everything they said at face value. They had one rogue setup builder that was supposed to be temporary. He didn't know what he was doing. He goes out and buys a set from somewhere else. Could have been Ryko, could have been anybody. Goes out and buys a set from somewhere else, doesn't check the notes, gives it to them. They don't check it. They put it out to sell. The customers buy it. They go check the notes, and all of a sudden, voila, it's Ryko's set. They give, or whoever's set, X setup shop. They give it to the setup shop that it came from. That person tells them to stop. They stop. They fire the builder, and they apologize, and they put out a public statement. Again, I got nothing to get. What else is there to do? And then if somebody wants to talk about it 3 weeks after the fact, I'd say if I was them, I'd be like, yep, they brought it up and it's true, and we've already dealt with it, and we appreciate them bringing light to the subject, because we don't like that either. We just don't acknowledge it.
Or just say we wouldn't want anybody to rip ours off either. And thanks for bringing light to that practice. We want to stop it too. Like, point is like, why? But instead, oh my goodness, it was like, that happened so long ago. It was a long time ago. And I made another video about it based off what they, I'm sick. Based off what they said. And the video was called A Long, Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away. It was the name of the video, but it was pretty funny. I don't know, dude. That was pretty wild. I don't know if that's ever happened to you guys before. People taking your stuff and rebranding it and selling it as oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But we'll wait to the second half of the broadcast to find that part, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the reason I get so, I don't want to say worked up about it, but I like to shed light on the practice is because it's weird what you see in forums and Facebook discussions where people think that's not intellectual property. Like that's no big deal. You know, you can make one click you could bring the ballast one click backwards and you can resell it because it's yours then. And like, I know there's a certain level of change where something is modified enough where, you know, the idea, you know, there's a legal concept around it and just the idea that it is different. But, you know, I've spent my whole life in computers and, you know, software development, stuff like that. And intellectual property is a big thing. I mean, that's all you got, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have intellectual property, you couldn't have the rights to sell any of your software or like anything you're doing. And so to me, I'm all about intellectual property. It just bothers me when people rip somebody's stuff off and that they created on their own and then try to sell it and rip them off.
Well, take this for an example. I'll bring the diecast back out. You know, I bought this off of, you know, a guy at Nashville Fairground Speedway. All he does is sell diecast. If I take a Sharpie and I make this an 8, right? I draw it and I attach it as an 8, and then I draw 1 in front of it, an 18. And I say, well, this is my design. I came up with this, and because I made this an 18, now it's all good.
No.
Yeah, see how long I last before, you know, either Teresa or RCR or JGR. If it's an 18, see how long until they're knocking out a door, or a combination of the 3. See how well that goes for you. The case in point is
you'll get served with a little manila envelope with papers to show up in court one day.
Now, are you going to get sued over? Well, I was going to say, would you ever get sued over pretend race cars and setups? No, but then there have been cases from certain groups where they have threatened that, and it's like,
well, it's not whether or not you are going to, it's just right or wrong to me.
Right.
It's just
right. I understand, but yeah, realistically, is it going to happen? No, because it's going to be thousands of dollars in legal fees and a massive pain in the ass. You know, if they want to make that much of a showing out of you.
Well, unless they said, hey, I stole this from such and such setup shop. Here, you can have it, but it's from them. As long as you give them recognition, I stole it from them. Okay. Would that work? Would that work?
Well, if they're making money off of it, then no. But you know, it's.
Oh my goodness!
You'll find that the common theme among it and the mindset that I approach it with is. Yes, it's business. Yes, it makes me money. Yes, there's a lot of people that rely on us and work with us and that we get to work with. But don't take it too seriously. This is pretend race cars. If you think you're high and mighty and above everyone else because you're playing pretend race cars, take a step back. And that's such a common thing. And what I tell people is we are the luckiest. If you're making money off of iRacing in any capacity, let alone making enough to live off of it, like some people are fortunate enough to do, we're the luckiest people in the world. If you get to make any sort of money off of this, you are beyond lucky. So get over yourself. You play pretend race cars, say thank you God for, you know, letting you do this and making anything off of it, and get off the high horse. You are working for other people. They're working 9 to 5 jobs. If you're clicking buttons on a keyboard at your house and you're fortunate enough to make money off of that, be thankful. Don't be pious.
Yeah, but there's some guys that take it so seriously. If you said they're playing pretend race cars, they'll get offended by that. Dude.
It's a simulator.
Right.
Yeah, really.
But lean your numbers forward.
Yeah, so Trace, Trace, I know you've got a lot of stuff you want to talk to Jeff about. So, man, why don't you just go right ahead?
All right, here's what we got. We got the face that runs the place. That's my segment. And Jeff, I want to give you a proper introduction because I know Mike kind of slid you in there. But anyhow, tonight we have our special guest, Jeff Maconi, and we welcome you to the Alien Factory. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I was supposed to be on last week, and I got stuck traveling and couldn't get back in time, but I'm very glad to be here this week and spend the time with you guys. So thank you.
No worries. Yeah. Appreciate
Well,
you being
Jeff,
here.
I'm
Thanks so
I'm
much.
sorry I didn't make you feel so good. I mean, and I mean Tracy was like, "Hey, our special guest." He's like, "Man, Jeff is the man." I
We were
like it.
advertising that you were going to be here too this week.
Yeah, I was all week long. That's true.
There you go. I'm excited for it. I appreciate it.
All right. So anyhow, what we've got is this part. We want to find out about you.
Mhm.
Okay. So we want to go back as far as you want to go. Tell us what you want people to know about you. Okay. And I said this in pre-production, and my apologies, but I really didn't know too much about you. I mean, I just found videos and some other stuff that you support in terms of some of the Twitch streamers, those guys, Coca-Cola series. I didn't know you were that involved in everything.
Oh yeah.
And then I want to find out about you. How long have you been doing this? How you got started? I want to know just about everything about you, man. I really do, because you guys are so fascinating, and that's why we like having you on the show. Start from the beginning. Let us know what's going on.
Well, let's see. I've been involved in real racing for pretty much my whole life. I've always loved going to. I grew up in Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, and I always went to Stafford Motor Speedway growing up. And we would
The
go there.
Oval Stafford that we have
Yeah.
on the service.
Yeah. Yep.
You went there. Or you still go there?
I worked there. Yeah, I went there growing up. Yeah,
That's a great place.
yeah,
That
it's an
is a
amazing
great place.
facility.
I love the racing I see there.
The Arute family do an amazing job running that entire facility. They've got an amazing crew. Shout out to really the guy who works all the magic on the video and production side. So if you've ever seen any videos or social media content from Stafford, that's probably a guy named Bonsa that does it, and he is.
I have it on
phenomenal.
TikTok. I usually see it on TikTok.
I'm sure he runs the TikTok as well. I mean, he's all over everything. He's phenomenal. So shout out to him. And so I grew up going to Stafford probably 5 or 6 times a year on Friday nights. We would go to New Hampshire for the NASCAR races. Sometimes we'd travel a bit. We'd go to Pocono. We also went to Watkins Glen once. We've been to Daytona a couple times. A lot of the places all around New England that we could get to, we would go to, and it was a lot of fun. I did that growing up, and then one summer.
Well, let me stop you just a second. I want to find out, what kind of racing are you watching or are you involved in? Because I know they've got the modifieds there, and I don't know if you ever seen the supers run there. I think they run Stafford. I know they run. What's the other track? I can't think of it off the top of my head. But the ones with the wings that compress on them. You go to all that stuff.
So those don't run at Stafford. Those things on a flat half-mile track would be
Lethal.
Yeah,
like a jet fighter in a gymnasium.
Those things are about 1,000 horsepower, and the
Yes.
engines are mounted right next to the driver with a massive wing on the top.
Yes.
You need steep banking. I mean, they're amazing tracks. But I saw those up at Riverhead. It wasn't Riverhead. It was now I'm gonna forget the name of the track. I went there 5-6 years ago. I was still in high school when I went. It was probably 6 years ago. Up in New Hampshire. And it was very cool. We were there with one of the sponsors, and they just went up to the sponsor. So we're sitting up like in the booth, me and a couple friends, and we're watching from there. And they come up, they go, "Hey, we need someone to wave the green flag," and for the supermods. And I was like, "I'll do it. That sounds amazing." And
what an opportunity, man!
Oh, it was incredible. And so. They show you how to do it. It's like, okay, you're gonna do like the figure 8 with your hand, and what the official said was, when I tap you on the back, you just wave the flag. That's it. And I'm like, that's easy. And so they're coming off turn 4. There's only 12 cars because those things are, you have to hand build the things.
Oh yeah.
So there were probably, I think, 12 cars, and each one with 1,000 horsepower. They're unbelievably loud. And so he taps me on the back, and I wave the green flag, and they just take off, and you see it I am being pelted by the wind and rubber and everything else. I'm trying to wave the flag. I couldn't even move it from how much wind was being pushed from.
Oh, it's a whirlwind. It cleans the track. I remember being in the top of the grandstands. We went to Sandusky, Ohio. Mm-hmm. They had them there, and during the feature, I mean, it was like a storm was on the track. So yeah, I appreciate that.
So we never saw those at Stafford. I never saw those at Stafford. They might have gone there before I was really going every weekend. We would just sort of go when I was younger. We would just go to. It was like, oh, it's Friday night. There's nothing to do. Let's go to Stafford. And it didn't matter if it was a big event or not. But we saw the modifieds there. They used to race Legends there, but they don't anymore. So they do each week street stocks, limited late models, late models, and these are all northeastern cars because if you call it a late model down south, I live in Tennessee now. What we call a super late model, they call a pro late model, and
Okay.
what we call a late model, they call a limited late model. So a lot of different terminology. Street stocks are, I think what we call the limited late model, they call a street stock here. I'd have to go and check. I haven't seen too many races at Nashville Fairgrounds, which is my home track now. But so up north, we had the street stocks, limited late models, SK mods, or SK lights and SK mods. So SK lights are not in iRacing, but it's the same thing as the SK mods and tour mods. It's the same chassis for an SK light and an SK mod and a tour mod, and then all of the other new modified series that have popped up, some new and old ones, where you can just swap the engine out and you change the gear and you're good to go. So you can take an SK light one season. When that season ends, you'll run 2 seasons in an SK light, 3 seasons in an SK light, and then you buy a SK motor and you just drop that in. And you can take the same chassis, rip the engine out, put a tour mod engine in. It's not like a sprint car where they can do those engine swaps in, I've heard of people doing engine swaps in a sprint car in an hour. You can't do that in a modified, unfortunately. It takes a bit longer, but you can do it and run all those different ones. So that's very cool. And then there's a lot of chassis carryover from street stocks to the late models and everything else. You can use one chassis for a lot of different things.
Now let me ask you this. There is an iRacer that ran those the top level SK mods, I guess. I don't really know which ones there. Donnie Lia, Lia. He's an iRacer. Do you know, have you heard the name or do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I know
I've
he
raced
ran
with him
Bristol
a few times, and he raced in the truck series and beat Kyle. I believe he had one win and beat Kyle Busch, and I want to say Texas.
Okay, well, he was
the
at
truck
Mansfield when Mansfield was asphalt or whatever at the time, Mansfield, Ohio, which was one of the first tracks for the trucks. But what's funny is Donnie Lia was also raced remote control cars, and that's how I met him. Was at a national one time, and we were talking, and he was telling me all about it. And next thing I know, he's on TV. So that's why I was wondering if he was one of them that's up in that. I think he was up in that region up there. So
I don't know if he ever raced at Stafford. I haven't seen his name associated with it, but there's so many legendary names I went through. I mean, Stafford is home to so many incredible drivers. Bugsy Stevens, Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt raced there a couple times. Mike Stefanik was there. He was phenomenal. Ted Christopher, who, if you're from the Northeast, you know that name in the 13. Yeah, absolutely. He was phenomenal. Mike Joy got his start as an announcer at Stafford Motor Speedway, and I want to say the 70s. And if you still ask him, he'll tell you. My favorite story that Mike Joy tells is there was a driver whose name I'm forgetting. There was a traffic jam on the local highway, and so he unloaded his car on the highway, threw a couple tools and supplies on the other side of the car, the passenger side of the race car, and he drove the race car to the track and had someone else drive his truck and trailer there so that he could make the races. And 40, 50 years later, Mike Joy still remembers that story. So
yeah, I didn't know he'd raced until just recently. I didn't know he drove till recently.
Mike Joy?
Yeah.
Well, he was an announcer. He was an announcer. Yeah. But so Stafford Speedway is home to a lot of people. I started working there as an intern. I literally showed up one day and walked into the main office on like a Wednesday afternoon and said, "Hey, do you guys have an internship program or something?" And they went, "Yeah, and you can help out on our production crew." And so I was just there. First night there, I worked in the production booth trailer. I helped do the rewinds for replay so that Race Control could review them. So they have off of turn 4, there's a big trailer with all of the AV equipment in there, the audiovisual equipment inside that trailer, and they can control the feeds to the TVs around the track, which is separate from what goes to the Race Control. And so if Race Control wanted a replay of something, I was the guy that was in there just rewinding it and then press play, and they would say, "Okay, that's good," or rewind it again, and we'd keep giving them that information. It was a lot of fun. And then the second week I was there, they said, "Hey, we need someone to work down on pit road as an announcer." And they just gave me a microphone and said, "Go for it." And so I was down on pit road, and apparently fans liked it. They liked it, and they just had me keep going back and working.
And did you like it?
I loved it.
Are you one of those guys on the mic? You just might as well put the spotlight on you, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was so much fun, and I would have all these stories running up and down pit road, talking to drivers and doing the victory lane interviews and watching the pit stops for the SK mods and late models. We would watch the pit stops and see what they were doing. A lot of really cool stuff, and that was an amazing opportunity.
How old were you at that time?
That was from when I was, I believe, 18 to 20, 3 years so.
Just a couple years ago then, huh?
Yeah. And so I did that during the summers when I was home from college. And that was an amazing time. I absolutely loved it. There was one time there was a tour mod race there, and Doug Kobe had led. It was a 300 lap race, long, and it's a half-mile track. But when you're running 22-second laps, I want to say, for a tour mod it's about 20 seconds, I'd say, average lap in a tour mod at Stafford. 300 laps is a long time. And so he led like 270 laps, and this race went green pretty much the whole way. So he had lapped all the way up to fourth, and he had a lap and a half, I'm sorry, 3/4 of a track on second place. He was just on rails. Nobody had anything for Doug Kobe. And there's a rule there where at Stafford, you can only change one tire or add fuel on a pit stop. You cannot do both. You cannot change more than one tire. So you would usually come in. What everyone did was the 6 drivers on the lead lap, the 5 drivers on the lead lap, and then one guy got a wave around, was they came in, they took a right front, then they took a right rear, and then they added fuel, and that's it. Just so they had enough in case it went to a green, white checker. Sent him back out. Doug Kobe pitted 4 times. So once for fuel, changed the right front, changed the right rear, and then changed the left rear as well. He changed both rear tires when nobody else did. Restarted 6th, wasn't able to drive back up through the field in the 10 laps that was left at the end, and finished 3rd. And so they're like, all right, Jeff, go talk to Doug Kobe. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to go talk to the guy who just threw away a win after 3 hours in the car on a 95-degree summer night. Like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. So I go over and I say, I'm down here with the heartbroken Doug Kobe. Doug, et cetera, what happened? And I hand him the microphone. He goes, well, first off, I don't get heartbroken. I get effing pissed off. And I'm like, and you just hear from, I believe it was Ben Dodge up in the booth, and then they cut my microphone and I pull it back, and he tries to, take it and keep going. And I'm like, all right, well, we're going to have to go talk to somebody else, unfortunately. And then they made t-shirts that said, I don't get heart, it was the whole quote. And they never sent me one, unfortunately. I asked, but they never sent me one. But you can still go on YouTube and find that video. And I was like, well, they had me back the next week. And I went over and I was like, oh my God, he just, I handed him the microphone and he said that, and I didn't talk to him beforehand, and he's mad over something I said. I'm like, I'm going to get chewed out. And it was Paul LaRoute. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to get absolutely hammered here. And so I walk over to Paul and I'm like, Paul, I'm so sorry. He goes, well, I guess we know how he feels. I'm like, you're not mad? He goes, no, that was great. Are you kidding me? After a boring race like that, we get some excitement. There we go. I'm like,
now, did you ever get back to the driver? Did you ever talk to him after he cooled off?
No, he loaded up the car and left. He was gone. He did not stay a minute longer than he had to. He was
steaming, huh?
He was pissed off. As he said, he was pissed off.
Wow.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, that's some great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's get back to you now. I mean, I could talk racing forever, so that's not going to make a podcast, but I want to find out more about you. So now, how did you get into the sim side of stuff?
Well, I had a different summer job. There was one summer in college where I was working at a golf course. And
now you say college. What college you go to?
I went to Purdue University. So I graduated there last year with a degree in mechanical engineering and technology. Okay. Awesome place. Great 4 years. I absolutely loved it. And that's out in West Lafayette, Indiana. I graduated from there. But when I was in college, I was just, having a fun summer job. This was, I want to say after my freshman year, maybe after my sophomore year. I'm not sure. But I was working in a golf pro shop, and I don't play golf. I know nothing about golf. And
neither do most golfers.
Yeah. But they're like, yeah, do you want to run the golf pro shop? I'm like, yeah, sure. That sounds good. I get paid to stand in the air conditioning all summer and, sign people up and make sure that everyone's on time. Like, okay. I mean, you sell surprisingly little in the golf pro shop. You would think people would be in there all the time buying stuff and buying golf balls, but no, they just order it all online and then show up and
Yeah,
Like, hey, I'm here,
all they
and-
want you for is to give them the keys to the cart and tell
Yeah.
them when they're up to go on the tea time.
It was
Place your divots.
and so this was from a small town. There were not, I mean, the town had a total of maybe 15,000 people living in it, and if you wanted to play golf, there was a bigger course on the next town over that had just been finished, and like, there's like 6 different golf courses within a 10-mile radius. So you would just, we didn't get too many customers, so there were a lot of times where I would just sit in there and nobody would come in for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and they didn't care what I did. I didn't care if I was on my phone or on the computer, whatever. As long as a customer came in and got handled, they didn't care. So I would watch races, and I'd watch the NASCAR races and all this other content. And then one time on the YouTube recommended, it popped up. It was iRacing, and I had heard of iRacing before, but never really knew there was like a competitive aspect to it that was actually interesting. And so I just started watching the eNASCAR races, and I'm like, this is really cool. And it's
Now, is
funny.
this during the COVID time?
This
How long have you
was
been on the
before COVID.
service?
I've been on since 20. Well, I guess I would answer when I did 2018. Let me
Okay.
double check. Now I need to double check. 2018, June 7th, 2018. So this was, 4 years ago now.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID. But
You're not a COVID baby. That's okay.
So this was in 2018 that I was doing it, which would have been after my freshman year. And I was like, this is really cool. And then I had like $250. I had, obviously I have more than that, but like I had $250, and I was like, yeah, I'll go put down Thrustmaster TMX Pro, and I bought that. And I raced on a laptop with the wheel not even like clamped to the table for the first couple races, because I didn't realize that was like important. So
What
I
a
would
mess!
just,
What a mess!
yeah, it was bad, and then the pedals were on the ground. Oh my goodness!
So,
And
how would you secure the wheel if it wasn't even clamped to the table?
So the desk here that I have, and it's the exact same desk actually, has a lip, and so I just pushed it against the lip, and because it had a drawer in front of it, and so I just held it up against it, and I turned, and it worked fine. I mean, like I did okay, and I won races, and then I went back to college, like 2 months later, and I was like, okay, I clamped the wheel down and everything, and got everything like actually set up. And then I was doing it in a chair similar, not this exact chair, but similar to this one. And I had a lot of fun there. And I did that when I wasn't studying or, whatever. And then I knew a guy. So I worked on a kart racing team out at Purdue. They have a go-kart race every year, the Purdue Grand Prix. So I was working with a team there. And one of the guys that we bought parts from, Jimmy Simpson, became a great friend of mine. And we were talking one time. I was down working at the shop, and it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And we were just wrapping up, and we had been there literally all day. It's probably 15 hours that we were working on this. And at the end of the day, we're working on stuff. And he goes, hey, so you do that sim racing stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm into it. And this was before I had the shop and everything. This was just when I was racing for fun. And he goes, it's, it's so stupid. It's not at all like the real thing. Cause this guy drove, everything. And he drove midgets, and actually drove up and raced in the Indy Light Series, and raced in the Freedom 100 and everything. So he was Formula Atlantic and Skip Barber. He had done really well in all those series. He almost won the Formula Atlantic championship. You can see my cat there. There she goes. But I started playing with the electrical outlet. I didn't want her to get hurt, but yeah, she's something.
Well, she if her hair stands up and she starts going, and you like
yeah, right.
Make sure you point your camera over there. That'd be good entertainment.
Oh yeah, you'll see it in the background. That's her the black and white striped thing there. That's her carrying case. So she's probably sniffing around there. But so he just had this rig sitting there in his garage, and he's like, yeah, if you can fit in your car and take it, it's yours. And I'm like, it's a play seat rig, and it was a nice one. I mean, brand new, it cost like $500, and he had gotten it because he does private like work, and people hired him. And so some guy that was his son had a go-kart, and Jimmy was there working on it, And this guy had like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and supercars and everything. But he couldn't come up with the, $2,000 cash or whatever it was for the work that Jimmy had done. So we gave him a sim rig and, some other stuff on top of it. And Jimmy didn't sim race at all. He thought it was stupid. He didn't like it at all. So I got that and got that all hooked up, and I've upgraded my stuff ever since. But so I've been doing this since 2018. I did it at college. I did it at home over the summers, and now it's taken me to most recently Tennessee, and here I am.
So you say it took you down to Tennessee. How did you end up down there?
So after I graduated, so Maconi Setup Shop does make enough that I'm able to do this full time, which is very nice. I'm very thankful for it. I am seriously the luckiest guy in the world that I'm in the position where I can do this full time. But the problem is most of it is automated. I'm not the one building the setups because there's people that are better at it than I am. I'm not going to build a better truck or Xfinity setup than Donovan Strauss. The kid's unreal. That kid is phenomenal.
He's a good driver too.
He's an amazing driver. He's a Road to Pro champion. He finished 5th last week at Kansas in the eNASCAR series with Maconi Setup Shop on the hood, by the way.
Yeah, he's not very old either. I've been following him. I know 16. That kid.
Yeah, I think he's 16. And yeah, he is. I've met up with him in person a couple times. That kid's good. And
yes, he is. I've watched him.
He is making very good money for 16 years old racing pretend race cars. I will tell you that. He is, and with him, it's not a question of if, but when he wins a championship in the Coke Series, hands down. And it's a question of how many.
Hey, you heard it here first on Area 51 Alien Factory.
Mm-hmm. May 15th, 9:54 p.m. Central Standard Time. Donovan Strauss is going to win probably multiple eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series championships. I can promise you that. But I don't build setups personally. There's people that are far better at it than I am. But even after that and paying them each and every week, I'm able to do this full time, which is really nice. But that also leaves not really much to do for it. It's a mostly automated process. I just upload the setups each week once they're all set and sorted. And I go from there. So with that in mind, I did for 3 or 4 months. After I graduated, I just had an apartment where the lease was still active, and I just worked from home. And it's like, at the time I was 22. I'm like, I'm 22 years old and sitting at home all day. And like, I get there's COVID and the global pandemic, but like, I just graduated with an engineering degree, and I'm going to sit inside all day. No, I can't do that. I was going absolutely stir crazy after 2 or 3 months. So I ended up going, I wanted to be somewhere where I could still be close to racing and close to all the action. And we work with a lot of people really down south. We work with a lot of amazing people. But down here near Nashville, we work with a guy named William Hale, and he's one of my best friends. Awesome guy, drives the number 62 Pro Late model, which up north would be a super late model, but it's a Pro Late model down here at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. He was the 2017, I think, Rookie of the Year. Maybe not that long ago. No, it couldn't have been that long ago. But he was Rookie of the Year at Nashville Fairgrounds. He's a phenomenal guy. And I mean, he is going up against teams with 10, 20 times his budget, and he's still running up front. I mean, he finished.
What's that tell you? Money doesn't buy speed.
Yeah, and money doesn't buy talent either. He is just
absolutely
phenomenal. So he finished 3rd a couple times last year and like top 5 for most of the last few races. This year's been rough. He was on the first race. He started 2nd and he was just running in line, running consistent laps. Engine went out, and it was a backup engine. So they brought it in and they swapped the engine. 2 weeks later, they're back out on track, and something broke there. And then the week after that, he's in the lead, and he came down a bit. The guy on the bottom came up a bit, and they collided. Will spun out, and he's stopped on the exit of turn 4. And he did everything right. He held his brakes. He came to a full stop. He was waiting for everyone to go by. Some guy who was in turn 3 when the caution came out comes barreling in, never slowed down, slams right into Will's car, and absolutely destroys everything from driver's seat on back. So they have to take the whole thing apart, replace everything on the back half of the car, and put it all back together. So it's been rough luck for him, unfortunately, which sucks to see. That kid works so hard.
Yeah.
He came
But-
out uninjured on that one.
Yeah, he was fine, which is obviously the most important thing. I say this because this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I know he's perfectly fine. I should have mentioned that though. You're right. Thankfully he was okay. The other driver was okay. It was just a lot of torn up race car that didn't need to be torn up because we can lift and brake and not. I mean, the guy hit the guy in front of him and then slammed into Will at probably 120 miles an hour. So
Sounds like iRacing.
Well, yeah.
except this time there's a very big bill to pay at the end of
Yeah,
it.
well,
which is
yeah,
unfortunate.
and that's what I was thinking when you told that story. Like we always get upset. A lot of guys do when they first start an iRacing, they want some kind of at fault system for the incident points or something, you know. And I was like, well, I didn't do anything. That guy slammed into me and I got a 4X, you know. And it's like, well, and somebody explained that to me, like when I first started, because I've never been into racing in real life much. I haven't really been to the tracks much. I mean, I got a dirt track close to me, West Virginia Motor Speedway. It's just about 5 miles from my house. It's dirt
That's a
track,
racy
but-
little place.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been there a couple of times, but I never was really big into it. But I really got into iRacing, you know, and stuff. And so at first, when I first got on for the first couple of weeks, I was like, man, this whole X thing is kind of crappy. like
Yeah,
the way they
but
do it.
it's just like money.
Right,
It's a geared system.
Yeah, because that somebody explained that to me. Like, well, if you were in real life and somebody hit your car, you'd still have to pay the bill whether you did it or not, you know. Like, and that's why people get mad at people on the track. Like, that's where there's fights after races and stuff, is because, you know, somebody can make a mistake and cost somebody $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever, you know. So yeah, I mean, iRacing definitely hit the nail on the head when it comes to the simulating the irritation, you know, with that kind of thing without having to cost people a lot of money, but whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I've used that analogy for a while. That's just like money, and it's very true. No matter who's at fault, you still got to pay for it. And if you go and you if you scrape the wall, you got to spend, an hour fixing that part of the wrap, right? And versus if you go and you slam into another guy and you wreck your car and blow everything up, you're lucky that it's only a 4X, right? And you still got to go and replace all those parts and everything. So I think it's a pretty fair system. Very frustrating, like you said, but it's overall a very fair system. But what I liked about Tennessee is that I'm close to all the action. So we sponsor Will's car. We have the back bumper on it, and
Now, we as in Maconi Setup Shop?
yeah, Maconi
Okay.
Setup Shop has the back bumper on his car. We sponsor a lot of people all over the country, a lot of different drivers now. Usually those sponsorships aren't as big as what we do with Will, because Will's like here in Nashville close, and we can go and get the social media content ourselves. Ourselves being me, I can go down there and do all that. And another thing is, well, we also have like full access to a shop. I know Will personally, so I can go in and like get pictures at the shop and things like that. Also, Will performs at just the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway is legendary, and there's full stands there all the time. So we know the exposure that we're going to get. So there's
a
not
lot of
many
history there.
and a lot of history there. You're right. And the pro late models there are the top division that races every time. They'll bring in super late models off, and they'll bring in different series, but the pro late models are always there, and they are always a show. And if Will's going and running up front every single week at one of the top divisions at one of the top tracks in the country, yeah, he's going to get the main chunk of the marketing budget. But we still help out other drivers. So there's Ty he races at, what's the name of that track in Massachusetts? It's out on the east side of it, and it's not on iRacing. And I'm trying to think of the name.
Salem.
No, not
No.
Salem. It's he and Reese Bogue both race there, and Seacon. We sponsor him at Seacon, so we bought him like 20 gallons of fuel or something, 15 gallons of fuel. Which for a Legends car, they don't burn through much fuel at all, so that'll last them for a couple months. We sponsor Nathan Bryant. He's a second generation racer, and we'll actually have something up on our social media pages probably Tuesday, if I had to guess. I don't run the social media page myself anymore. That's Presley Soar, and he does a phenomenal job with it. So I think the plan is he'll have something up Tuesday on Nathan. And so we sponsor him and all these different drivers around the country across all different divisions. I wish we could sponsor everyone that sends us a request. I genuinely really do, but there's only so much money that we can.
That's business at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
right. It's a business and we can't afford to lose money. I would love to, I'd love to sponsor your car for $1,000 and buy you a set of tires. I can't do that for everyone that asks though. So it varies, but the fact that we can be a sim racing company and take what we do with pretend race cars and help people with actual cars and buy them fuel and help them buy tires and everything else. Realistically speaking, are we going to get a ton of exposure on a Legends car at Seekonk? Probably not. But is it going to make a massive difference to that team that now doesn't have to worry about fuel for the next 3 months? Absolutely. And it doesn't cost us much at all. So it helps out there. It helps out anything that we can do to help these teams. We're going to do it and help as much as we can within reason. We can't give out all of the money, but we can help out as much as we can. So that's sort of what the mindset has become, is help the core group of drivers that we're able to support and give them enough that it's significantly helping them. It's helping to get their costs down while also not running us out of money. And that's just general sponsorship. So anyway, I've gone off on a couple tangents now, but because of the work we do here at the National Fairgrounds, and it's so close to everything. I'm 3 hours from Atlanta. I'm 4 hours from Talladega. I'm 8 hours from Charlotte. I am.
What about the Nashville Super Speedway? How close is that?
That's about an hour away, maybe an hour and a half.
And I mean, that thing's starting to pick up steam, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they just kept the prices of the concessions down, because it was like $15 for any food there last year, and water was like $8. Yeah, people were not happy.
That's like going to a pro game.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff.
Insane. Yeah.
I gotta put a word in for the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Cook. He's on a fixed income. He needs a sponsor. iRacing's expensive.
We can see what we can do. We actually have sponsorship applications. Sponsorship applications are opening this week over on our website. So keep an eye on our social media pages of Facebook and Twitter for when we get that open. It's absolutely free. You fill out a form. The more information you give us, the better, because all I ask for is name, so that I know who you are, and your name on iRacing, so that I can go and look at your account and verify that you're not just giving us garbage. If you say you're 5,000 iRating and I look and you're 800, okay, that's not a really good look. Like if you say 5,000 and I look and you're at 48 or 46, like, okay, yeah, you might have had a couple bad weeks. But if you're at like 800 and you say you're at 5,000, I don't believe a word you're saying anymore. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Robert, he needs another butt kicker so he can have better bowel movements.
It works.
And we need to get him a couple of road course cars and tracks so he can go race MX5s with me and Tracy. So and he's on a fixed budget, so he might need a sponsorship.
But Jeffrey, if you don't have a butt kicker, I tell you what, you need to get one. I tell you what, it does make you regular. You turn that up a little bit. I don't do much walking around, so this stuff really jiggles things out going. You race one race and you're busy in the restroom pretty quickly.
There you go. Yeah, I've been looking into getting one. I'm getting a whole new rig shortly, so I'm gonna be in the market for that soon. I don't know where I'm gonna end up.
I would check with Ken Byron. He's got the best thing around, man. I don't know if you saw the earlier podcast.
I don't talk to him much. No.
Oh my goodness. I mean, me and him aren't best, but we talk every once in a while, like just chit chat or something. He'll stop by.
Send us updates.
Nice enough to me. He'll send us up, but he's got this sim rig that he had custom built for him, Jeff. I mean, you could put wheels on it and drive it downtown. I mean, it is nuts.
It's off the top, man.
It looks like what does it look like? Does it look like a sprint car or something?
It's like a little midget, midget chassis.
And oh my word, he's got triples wrapped around it. I ain't never seen nothing like it. I'd hate to think how much that thing cost. I probably don't want to know.
I'm going to be nice in this scenario.
He'll be on a future show, because as soon as he gets it and releases it, we're going to have him on again.
I mean,
so we can show it.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. That's all I got to say. I've never seen anything.
It's like intense.
I mean, seriously, you could literally, it looks like it's ready to drive down the road if you just slap some wheels on it. It looks like a real car frame.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know. That's too much. I don't have that kind of money. I don't. That's like, I might as well just buy a new car. I don't get it.
You're a media mogul. We'll have to get into the setup shop stuff next.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. So you're involved in all aspects of racing now, and you're just as exposed in the iRacing side of it too. You do some top level stuff. You've got, I believe, some Coke stuff. You talked about Donovan Strauss, and it obviously he was a developmental driver for you. I'm thinking you'll have to tell me the history of that. We can get that in later, but I'm just fascinated on what you got going for the, your road to pro stuff, guys, and how you do your setups and stuff. And I think Mike's going to cover that in the second half too. So what about you as the driver though? You as an iRacer, do you do leagues, or are you just involved in your own company, or what do you got going on there? What do you do for the iRacing part of it?
Well, I used to drive a lot more than I do now. I really only get in 2 or 3 races a week anymore. This year has been absolutely crazy with everything that we've been able to do. So I've gone to 4 races so far this year, 3-4 races so far this year. I was at Daytona with eNASCAR, which was a lot of fun. Then we went to Atlanta with them. We went to Talladega.
I was at Talladega back in 93 to 95. That's a great place. And I'm sure it's way better than it used to be. But back in the day, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so I've been traveling. It feels like every weekend, close to every weekend, doing different stuff all over. I'm either at the National Fairgrounds or I'm at the NASCAR race, like always something going on. So we started out the year. We do a lot of work with eNASCAR, and we're the only group that works with eNASCAR at all. So take from that what you will. But so they got me down there at Daytona for the 500. At the eNASCAR booth, they have a trailer that they bring, and they have 4 or 5 rigs up on the trailer stage. Then they have like Rocket League and Mario Kart and NASCAR Heat, all those different things set up around. I think they do a lot of Rocket League now outside of the rigs that are up on the main stage. So they bring me there, and then I'll go up and I'll talk with them, talk with the hosts and answer questions and throw merch and all that fun stuff from there. So I've done that 3 or 4 times this year. I think I'm doing another 7 or 8 races this year that's likely to happen, and probably another 2 or 3 that are possible. So I'm going to Charlotte in a couple weeks, and we're starting off there with we're partnered with Junior Motorsports. And
really?
Yep.
So tell Junior we want him on this podcast.
I'll bring it up. I'll mention it when I see him there. But so we're partnered with Junior Motorsports, and we sponsor Briar LaPrade. We sponsor the 88. So we have, I want to say, 4 races as a primary, and then we're an associate on all the others. We have the quarter panel behind the wheel on the 88 for all the other races with Briar LaPrade driving.
I watched him on Twitch. I watched him come up through too. He's excellent.
He's a phenomenal driver.
He is.
Yeah, yep. He is. And he's a great guy. He does weekly videos for us on the Facebook page. So he does for A, B, and C fixed. He shows the best way to qualify there, and talks a lot about how the racing is probably going to be and how to put down a good lap in qualifying, things to know for the track, all this other information. Usually it's like a 15 to 20 minute video each week.
It's very in depth, and it's great to watch. I watch it, so I know what you're talking about.
And so he does those every week for us, and it's a lot of stuff. We show the fixed setup because it helps out people that run just fixed, but it also, a lot of it carries over to the open setup side as well, because the line's going to be the same for both. It's just the open setup's going to be faster. Well, if you get it from us, it's going to be faster. I can't say the same for everywhere else, but
hey, Jeff,
a lot of it
like
carries
that.
over.
You're like, I don't know about anywhere else. If you get it from Maconi setup shop, it's going to be faster.
Right. And I mean,
like
we've got for the trucks and Xfinity, that's built by Donovan Strauss, and Donovan did an amazing job last year in the Road to Pro Series. And he raced with Elliott Sadler Esports, and he was doing his own setups there. And then he left and went to another group, and then went over to finally Lockdown Racing to wrap it up and go into the Coke Series for this year. And so we work a lot with Lockdown, and we do really a lot of fun stuff with them. They're a great group as well. So they've got in the Coke Series, Corey Vincent, Taylor Hurst, Zach Novak, Donovan Strauss, Briar LaPrade, and Jimmy Mullis. So they've got 6 guys in it each and every week. We sponsor 5 of them. We don't work with Corey, not because we don't like him. It's just we haven't put anything together with him yet.
Well, hold on a second. Let me expand on that. I did work with Corey. I worked back in 2016, 2017. I was with Overclock Motorsports, and Corey was our driver. And you said you came in back in 2018. And what's interesting back then is that's just when the iRacing exploits was everybody was starting to find them in the Pro Series and stuff. And it got real interesting that some of the stuff that we used to do for setups was amazing. We actually made monster trucks, and it had to be on the geometry of the front end. Since you're an engineer, you probably know all about this stuff. If you don't, I'd be more than happy to go over off camera sometime.
Right.
But there was a bunch of camber gain. And what was funny is Tyler Hudson, the main guy for iRacing now that runs the esports, the
the competition director. Yeah.
Yes, that's him. When anytime iRacing goes on their break for maintenance, they always had his A car at Daytona, I believe it was. And if you looked at the right front tire, the thing was laid over 45 degrees. Well, that was the exploit. Nobody knew it, and iRacing was showing it the whole time. So that's what I thought was amazing. Nobody figured it out. So anyhow, that's funny but yeah, I did work with Corey. Great guy. Don't know what he's like today. I'm sure he's still just as good. I've seen him in a couple times, but yeah. And the other guys, I followed him on Twitch before they were ever pros, just trying to gain information, because those guys, they just did a nice job, and they were always calm and cool. It didn't matter what they got into. They always drove fixed, and they were great at it. So you put a regular setup, you give them a regular open setup. Now they're phenomenal. And that's kind of where Mike and I are at right now in our secret high intensity training videos, is trying to get people to understand it's all about the driving, because it's 20% is the setup, 80% is the driving. People go to all these setup shops, and we're not slamming anybody, and they buy a variety of setups thinking this is going to be the go-to for them. You put a bad driver in a good setup, it's still a bad driver, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. You have to be able to drive what you're doing. So it all depends on the scenario. We can do a lot to adjust the setup to each and everyone's individual liking, but yeah, it's what. And I mean, I'll tell this to people all the time. You should make adjustments. We build for what we believe is going, these are the conditions that iRacing generates when we build the setups and everything. You go into one race and it's going to be 80 degrees. You go into another, it's going to be 88 on track, right? And that 8-degree difference makes a big difference. So
that's what I'm trying to get Mike to look at now.
Right. Yeah, you have to look at track temp. You have to look at air temp for tape and everything else. So you're going to have to make adjustments, and you're going to have to make adjustments to your driving style. You're going to have to make adjustments to the track conditions. You're going to have to make adjustments to all these different things. If you qualify poorly, you might need to make a couple changes to the car because it might be built for running in clean air. You have to find all that out. You have to practice. If you on the very rare occasions where people request a refund on a setup, 9 times out of 10, it's within 5 minutes of buying it, or it's within, they buy it. Let's say it's for a B open. They'll buy it 2 minutes before the start, and then they'll message me 45 minutes later. And it's okay, well, I see when you bought it. I see what time it is now. You went into the race. You didn't do any practice, and you had no practice, and you jumped into a race, and you're saying the setup's not any good. Well, okay, I really think that the setup that 200 other people are running is perfectly fine. I don't think the issue is the setup. Maybe you need a little bit of practice, and you can't obviously say that to them. So you're all right, what are you feeling in the car? What's wrong? What can we do to help? How many laps of practice did you turn? All these different things, and sort of you gently guide them to
yes.
Hey, no. You have to practice. I can't sell you I can't sell you a miracle pill that's gonna all of a sudden make you a great driver. You have to put in a little bit of work. You have to practice. I'm sorry. That's how it is with any setup. That's how it is with fixed. That's how it is with open. You have to do a little bit of practice. I'm sorry if you don't like that. I genuinely am, but I can't fix that. There's only so many things I can control.
So Jeff, I tell you, that's hilarious. So all the time I've been on iRacing, all the setup shops owners I've been friends with, and all the stuff I've done with them, I've been team driver for a couple in the past, but I've never heard of anybody either asking for a refund, which they probably did, but I've never heard of a setup shop granting a refund on a setup. Is that a thing? Do you have a refund policy or something? I've never heard of that ever.
So we have a refund policy. policy of because it's delivered instantly and you have access to it and can save it and everything, there's no refunds. We just have that as what's written so that, you know, we can always fall back on that. And if someone comes back and is just a complete jerk, like, okay, read the refund policy. You're not going to sit here and insult me and everything else. I'm not dealing with that. But if someone comes back and is like, hey, I don't think this is any good. Can I get a refund? If you just talk to them and figure out, okay, why are you requesting this? You know, is it after one race and you didn't get the hang of it? Okay, before we refund it, let's figure out what's going on. Let's work. And I mean, I'll jump in with you and all these different things. Very rarely do we even get refund requests. If somebody's adamant about it, yeah, okay, it's $9, right? If it makes them feel better, that's fine. I understand. I understand the mindset as well of paying for a product and expecting it to be perfect right out the gate.
Do you remember their names next time? No.
Realistically,
Hey,
no.
you don't block their IP address after you give them a refund.
No,
do you?
I've never. I don't even block the IP addresses of the other shops that are buying setups. Some of them are dumb enough to use their real names, which is funny that they choose then to use their real names. But it's okay if you're that desperate and you want to buy this. Oh, okay, sure. I'll take $9 and you can take what's ours and try and figure out why it's so fast. But I don't know. Maybe if you didn't change builders every single season, you would have a little bit of consistency and can build on things. But
do you have
what do I know? What do I know?
You have free setups as well to start out with, or everything's paid for?
So we do free setups for usually C Open during week 13. For the past couple weeks, all of our road setups have been free through Race Labs, and they've been very popular. So I see Majors is on there and a couple other groups. But ours have been pretty popular, which is nice to see. So we've seen an uptick.
I saw that. So I'm a pretty big Race Lab apps user. I have been for ever since I got on iRacing. I mean, I've been on there for a few years, and I love that because I race in VR, and that guy, what's his name? I can't pronounce it. Iviston or what? I don't know. Whatever his guy's name is. He's built a really good product there, and he's got some other developers helping him now, and it's a super good product. And I like Mike Woolette really good. I mean, he's a nice guy from Majors Garage, and they run.
I like Mike a lot.
Yeah, they run their Majors series and all the league stuff, and he's a really nice guy. And I like what they do there. I mean, what they do at Majors Garage is totally different than what you guys do. And that's something and most people say nothing but nice stuff about Majors Garage whenever we talk to them. Because you guys aren't in competition with them. There's zero, they're in competition with VRS, and that's about it, right? Because of their business model. I mean, they offer a $10 a month subscription package where you get massive amounts of setups, and they're better than the base setups in iRacing, but they're not going to win you races, and they're not going to be competitive that much in top split, but you pay your $10 a month and you can race anything, and then Mike does all the Majors series stuff. Well, they also offer those free baseline sets, which is pretty cool. What Mike likes to do for the freemium model, where they get them in the door with the baseline sets and try to upsell them on their all access pass. Well, him and I were talking about, and it's really not as big of a deal for you guys, and any of the other shops that sell a one-off set, so you buy this set for this track this week, next week you buy another set for the same car, different track, but for the guys that have massive shops that build for everything for the $10 a month, they're selling quantity of setups. And so I've always talked to them about better ways to download their setups. Probably one of the best ones around is Apex Racing Academy has this application that as soon as you get in the car and you start that application up in iRacing, it downloads all of your sets, every set they built that week, all of them downloads on your computer, snap a finger. So you got them. And so that's kind of the gold standard. Well, Mike said, hey, we got something in the works. We got something coming. Hang on. I said, okay. And so one day I get this email that they're integrated into Race Lab apps like you're talking about. And I was like, what? I was like, what? And I went in and I looked and I was like, because I pay my subscription there, and because I pay for the pro version or the whatever package, the nicer package and Race Lab apps, because you get access to a lot of stuff. And it's only $5 a month. And this guy did a heck of a job on this as an independent developer, and I wanted to support him. So I went ahead and subscribed immediately. Like I tried it out for like a couple weeks and just have been a subscriber for a long time now. Anyway, I went and saw, and it's all their free baseline setups. We might add more later, but right now it's just the baselines, the free ones. But I was in there yesterday looking around, and I saw some that said Maconi Setup Shop. I was thinking, these are free.
Yeah.
I was like, did somebody rip off Jeff's setup? Because I can upload mine. There's a community upload where I could go in if I build a set. Like, is this just a person? Like, say I like to race Mazdas and I go make a set and I just want to go upload it for the MX-5. I can do it where anybody else could. You could go download it, which is really cool. So I was thinking, does somebody go buy Jeff's setups and then upload them for free for people to download? It's like, I bet Jeff's not going to be happy if he finds that out. So, but you're saying you worked out a deal with them. Like your road setups are free there. Like, so, and they're the actual setups you're selling on your site.
Yep. So they are the exact same ones. So
I just went and looked at your site before the podcast just to kind of look at it again, to be able to ask you questions here in a few minutes on this. And so let me ask you this then. I guess we could segue into this, but
I think we're already there.
Yeah. So
already there.
What are you charging for, say, an MX-5 set? Because you sell MX-5 sets. So me and Tracy are into those right now. So what do you charge for an MX-5 set on your website? $8 or $5? I can't remember.
So we've had very low demand for those, just for what people have been looking for from us. We haven't had too many people asking, but we've gone off of pretty much a universal baseline for those. So we used to, when we had them up, they were built by Justin Krasinski 2 years ago, I want to say. And when they were up, we just had a clockwise and counterclockwise qualifying race, and it worked well. So for all the clockwise tracks, it worked. The counterclockwise tracks, it worked, and you would make your adjustments and everything else. Now, this was 2 years ago, and we haven't seen much demand since then. So we would look into it with our current road builder, Daniel, and see what we would do from there. But right now, we do F3, F1.
All right.
Yeah.
So sorry, let me repeat my question. So I like to race F3s again. You mentioned F3s. Sorry, because I was just trying to get, that wasn't where I was going.
I got you.
F5s. I'm saying, okay, so let's say I like to race F3s. So let's say F3s is a great track I love this week, and I'm going to spend all week in F3s. How much? I thought your site was like $8 for a road set. Okay, that's where I was getting at. So if I wanted to go buy the F3 set, and I go to your site, it's $8 a pop, right? But you're telling me that I pay for Race Lab apps my $5 a month, and I get that exact same $8 set for free
temporarily. So that's not permanent. We're doing that for like a couple weeks just to get excitement and get people.
That means I want to go in there right now and download as many of them as I can.
That's the whole idea. But you can do the individual for $8, or the monthly, which I think is, off the top of my head, $9 for the road cars, $9 for the entire month.
That's it. $9.
That's it.
I think you just got another subscriber right now.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then go and get all road. Get the all road subscription.
That's what I'm saying.
It's right. We have 3 of the GT3s. 3 of the GT4s, 2 of the TCRs, F3, F1, and both LMP2s for IMSA and ESS every single week for $20. The subscriptions that we have are a phenomenal deal because people said it's expensive. We want a cheaper option. I said, okay, I can make a subscription model work. So for every car, 20 plus cars that we sell every single week, it's $50 for the entire month. And people go, oh, $50 a month for setups. That's crazy because VRS does it $10. Go beat one of my setups. Go beat one of my setups on a VRS setup, right?
I'm with you. That's a whole different league.
And with VRS, it is cheaper. And
after 15 laps, your tires fall so much that you can't drive it.
Right. And if you want something where it's just better than the iRacing baseline, and it's $10 a month, and you get in and you're gonna go run middle of the field, but you're not running at the back because you're not on the iRacing stuff, VRS is for you. That's fine. That's great. Like, it depends what you are looking for. So we don't build setups to run middle of the pack. I don't like running middle of the pack. I've got, 2,000 races and over 350 wins. Oh, I have almost 400 wins across all 4 license classes. Like, I like running up front. I lead. I think last year I led like 20 something. I think it was like You know what? I've got it pulled up right here. So for last year, where I was doing a lot of racing all the time, in 2021 on the oval, well, I guess 2020 was the big year. I did 883 starts, 172 wins, 535 top fives. 535 top fives. So a 60% top five percentage. I led 22% of my laps. Last year, I only did 333 races. I won 81 of them, 200 top fives. And so that's a 24% win percentage, 60% top five again, and 24.71% of the laps led. So I'm not the best driver. I'm like, I think right now I'm right about 4,000 I rating. But
Yep.
I mean, I get up into top splits and I can go up and compete there. And I'm sitting third overall right now in tour modified points. I dropped those cars for a year and a half. I used to run them all the time as my cat goes flying by. And then I took a year and a half off of them. And I'm sitting third in points right now. So if you want to go and run up front, you have, and you get our stuff, it's going to be a little more expensive, but find the subscription that works for you. If all you run is tour modifieds and you don't run anything else, every single tour modified race you are out there, you can spend $7 for 1 week, or you can spend $8 for an entire month. Or if you just run legends, SK mods, tour mods, late models, super late models, spend $20 for the short tracks. If you only run asphalt oval, or well, if you only run asphalt, you don't run any dirt oval, any dirt road, but you like the road cars, you like the oval cars, $30 is the all asphalt for an entire month, and you're getting 20 plus for the asphalt. Let's say probably be 15 cars off the top of my head, 5, 8. Well, I guess it depends how you count the road cars, because we group all the GT3s and all the GT4s together.
I count it as $1 a day is what I count it.
Yeah. Call it $1 a day, and you can run almost any asphalt series, any of the asphalt oval series minus the sprint cars, because very low participation.
We need an infomercial for that. For just $1 a day, you can sponsor Robert Cook. But just $1 a day at Maconi Setup Shop will sponsor Robert Cook with setups for the whole month.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a great deal. So and that's our most popular subscription is the all asphalt, because $30 a month, and you get to run all the, you got to think
you have something like B open only. That's what I was about to ask.
Do you have the NASCAR stuff only, or like A open or B open? Like how much does be like for just B open every month?
So because those setups are $9 individually, it's $10 for the entire month. So you can do just the next gens, just the trucks, just the Xfinity, and they all follow the official series. So that's come up a couple times where people are like, "Well, I'm running a league and I wanted this setup," and it's like, well, you have to read it. It's for the official series only. That's what we sell for. We had that last week. The guy got pretty nasty with me, and I was like, dude, you have to read. Like, if someone comes to me and is like, hey, I misunderstood this, I want to cancel my subscription, and I'm just going to get, like, I was expecting to get these setups, like, I'll say, okay, I'm sorry that the misunderstanding happened, even though it's, everyone else was able to figure it out. Yeah. Like, I understand it happens. And I'll say, all right, no worries. If you're looking for Pocono in the trucks, here's what we've got. This might work for you, and you help them out.
That's what I was getting at. Couldn't they? I mean, the setups change from year to year, and you figure out better stuff to make them faster. However, if we were at Pocono 3 months ago, that setup's probably going to be okay. So my point, they subscribe to you for 6 months, they should have a setup of yours for every single track, and of course they're going to get an updated one the next time it comes around, and of course it'll be tailored to those track temperatures for that time and everything, where the other one might not be. But for crying out loud, if you're running a league race, why can't you just go back 2 or 3 months and grab one? Or not you, I mean them, like the customer. Why aren't they keeping your sets from the last time? And then the other thing is I'm with you. Like, if somebody's a subscriber and I was the owner, like you would, I'd be like, yeah, dude, we're not building nothing for you, but here's one from 3 months ago. Since you're a subscriber, God bless you. Here you go.
Sorry for the confusion. Yeah. I'm sorry this confusion. But I mean, this guy was like, oh, you guys only care about money and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm not. You're not gonna.
Oh my!
And this was in our Discord.
And set up for him.
Right. And this guy wouldn't talk to me in DMs. He wouldn't talk to me privately. but he wanted to keep going in our public Discord. And I just said, that's enough. You didn't read the terms. You didn't look into this. You're being extremely rude. And dude, like,
You're toxic.
right. I'm not. Why would I go out of my way to help you when you immediately come in attacking us and saying how terrible we all are? Like,
because you wouldn't building a custom league setup.
Right.
I'm just a horrible. You're a horrible person, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just
I'm sorry you didn't read what it says, because if you look on the website, it says setups for the official weekly series. Whatever. I don't remember, but it says official series in there. And I even sent a screenshot and was like, this is what you purchased. This is what you got. So you buying the wrong thing, if you go to the store and you get the wrong thing and you bring that item back, that item is now out of your possession. They can then sell it. That's why you get to return things. But yes, you have the digital file. Different. It's entirely different. Again, if there's a mistake though, and like a genuine mistake and something happens, yeah, I'll gladly help. Like, absolutely, I can help. I can help you make this right. But at the end of the day, I'm a person as well. And if you come in and you're, taking shots directly at me and saying how awful I am, sorry, man, there's nothing I can do to help. You made a mistake, and I'm not going to deal with you being a jerk to me. That's not how this is going to work. If you're polite, surprisingly, if you're polite to people, they won't mind helping you.
That's why I give away hot dogs at the beginning of a race.
Yeah, he says crazy. Robert says if you don't cause a caution, you get a hot dog.
There you go.
Yeah, Big Blue Betty's be passing them out.
There you go. So Jeff, kind of to head down the home stretch here, like in the podcast, I want to ask you about a couple of things and maybe give you a chance to kind of promo your setup shop some more. Give you some airtime for that. Me and you have raced together a few times on the track. Every once in a while, you'll sneak into like Be Open where I'm at. I remember one time I raced an SK race that you were in at like the bull ring or something. Mm-hmm. It was, but yeah, and it was a crazy one. People were wrecking all over the place. But normally I hang out and Be Open when I'm in asphalt most of the time. Every once in a while, I run a truck race. Every once in a great while, I might run a cup race or something. Then somebody said, Man for Concrete says I'm a dirty guy, I'm a dirt guy. Says I'm a dirt guy. Never bought a Maconi set, but Jeff seems like a great guy with a legit business going. So yeah, that's somebody man for Concrete down the comments. So he may have picked up a customer there. He seems to like what you said so far. So
yeah,
anyway.
I appreciate it. And a quick tangent on the dirt side, we just got Davin Cardwell in, who's doing our late models, and he is. God, that guy's fast. He's just unreal. And he puts out updates, usually an update or two a week. And so he is always looking for speed. And the first set he puts out is phenomenal. And like there was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I think it was in the pro late models, was like, Jeff, you saw the cat just go flying by.
It was just a blur.
So her name is Danica Catrick. I love her to death.
Oh my goodness. It's not. Dude.
It is. I swear to God, her name's Danica Catrick. She's somewhere around.
Oh my goodness.
She is running.
Danica Catrick.
Yeah.
On a Maconi setup.
That's why she's so fast and snaking across.
Right.
It's like a digital blur. It's like a pixelated blur. She runs across.
Yeah. Well, no, I think she's so excited because I've been gone since Friday morning and I'm just getting back now. But yeah. So on the dirt side, we have Davin, and he does our late models there, and he's just phenomenal. Like there was one time where he sent me a setup. He's like, I just set the world record on this, and I'm like, awesome. Like this is the customer setup and it just set a world record. Phenomenal. Put it on the website and everything. Day later, he goes, hey, I found another 210s. Here you go. And I'm like, you just broke the world record and you found another 210s. What in the world is going on? And this is what's going on the website. I'm like, okay, that's great. Now are you again, Davin is a professional. He does this and races in the pro series. Are you going to go out and match his times right away?
No, I wish I
could. Because he's been doing this for a long time and he's absolutely phenomenal. And here's the thing. He's also spent hours and hours and hours practicing on this exact setup to get it exactly how It is.
Well,
So
what I want is his
yeah.
IBT file. That's what would help me. Is I want to know what his gas and pedals and steering wheel's doing. So like his IPT file would help me more than his setup. Well, I mean his setup would too, but like that's what people don't get. And like Tracy and I talk about this all the time. Like setup's one thing, right? But what your feet and your hands do is a whole nother level. And so like the IBT files what really people could give their setup away all day long and you could never race as good as they can with it. But if you get the setup and the IBT file, now you're in business, especially in like a 20 or 30 lap run to see what they're doing across the run. And we've also found that people want to get fast. But when you start getting to that granular level of detail with them, getting into Motec with them and trying to do that kind of stuff, you kind of lose them. Like really, that's some of our least watched videos, is when you really get into the stuff that's really going to help someone. And I've never quite understood that. People say they want help, but if I put up like a 10-minute video on like how to get better tire wear, I just tell them like my best watched video, Jeff, on this whole YouTube channel has been how to get better tire wear in iRacing. Here's 2 simple tricks. You turn down your engine volume and everything else and you crank up your tire volume. And then I told him one other thing, I can't remember what it was, but anyway, and I got like thousands of views. And then like I get into the real good stuff, like we get into Motec with like the driver development stuff and comparing IBT files and like really getting really getting into to really makes you faster. And you get like the view is like one of our lowest.
I was watching your videos and looking at your gas and your brake input and your steering, like, and I'm getting, okay, this is where you're going. This is where, okay, you're letting off sooner than I am. You're giving the gas a little bit slower than I am, and I'm not stomping. You're stomping. You're easy. I'm stomping on it, and just watching the video, the guy is braking and his gas is helping me out.
Oh, are you talking about Breyer's videos?
Well, I'm talking about
mine, okay.
well, not just Mike, but just about anybody videos I watch on YouTube and stuff. I watch and look at what they're doing on the brakes and the gas and stuff, and where they're entering the corner at.
Right. Yeah, and we have that with Breyer's videos, but you're right. It's everyone wants to be faster, but not many people want to put in the work to be faster, and those are two different things.
It takes work,
and
right?
It's hard. It's hard.
Practice.
It's
but it's
really
not
hard.
but it's not just practicing. If you do the same thing over and over and over again, you're just going to get better at doing whatever habits you're doing. That doesn't mean they're good habits. But
Robert, you got to set your goals a little higher than just racing Scott every week. That might help too.
Yeah,
well, Scott's getting better.
but you've got to. I mean, you've got to like. I mean, Jeff, you got to like. It takes, you got to look into the data, look into the telemetry, like really see what you're doing and try to develop better habits. And you spend a lot of time staring at a computer screen, then getting back on the track, then staring at a computer screen again, getting back on the track to really, to really hone in your speed.
Right. There's, like you said, I think the biggest thing is if you practice the wrong thing 1,000 times, you're going to be really good at doing it the wrong way. And so it's it's tough. And I mean, a good segue. That's why we do driver coaching. That's why you can, I mean, for $25, you can book an hour with Zach Novak, Jimmy Mullis, Donovan Strauss, River Hayes, and Cam Peterson, all of which are professionals, and they are all phenomenal. Well, and you can book time with them and learn what they're doing, and they will help you with your throttle inputs. They'll help you with all the tiny tips and tricks that help them. I mean, there have been times where I've gone to these coaching sessions, and I'm, like I said, I'm pretty good. I'm not the best. I'm far from it, and I mean, I'm lucky. I get, what's really nice is I don't have to pay for the setups because
you get to hang out with all the cool kids.
I get to hang out with all the cool kids, and I get to get all the setups for free because I'm putting them up on the website, which is really nice. But I'll go into these coaching sessions, and I'll be like, I've been doing that wrong for 3 years. I had no idea. And I was like, so that's because like I started racing originally in just the short track stuff. I raced the tour mods, super late models, and late models. And I was, for every season, I was like top 30 in points. I was pretty good. And I wasn't even racing for points. I would just run whenever I wanted. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, here's how the point systems work. And then I would be top 10 and all that. But if you looked at number of wins, I mean, I was winning a ton of races. I was the first person in the tour mods to hit 100 wins in those cars. I was the first person to ever do that. I led, thousands of laps. I did all this really cool stuff. And with that, I would always burn the right front tire off, because in those cars, you would lean on the right front. The entirety of driving a tour mod was just beating someone on corner entry and diving it in and being faster than them on entry, and then carrying that speed through the corner. And so I was really, really good at that. And then I started racing trucks and Xfinity and Cup before it was the next gen. And man, I was just burning the right front off. I would literally go into the pits. There would be times where on the setup we had on the website, it would be like 35-80, 35% right front, 80% right rear. And I was just like, what am I doing wrong? I'm like, are the setups not good? And I was like, no, no one's having issues. People are winning on the setup. So I'm like, okay, so it's my issue as a driver, and I'm the guy that owns the place, and I am getting, I'm failing to perform. And I would go to these coaching sessions and just sort of sit in and watch, and I was like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Like I'm driving it in too deep. I'm not using the right rear. I'm not leaning on the car. I'm doing X, Y, and Z wrong. And so even after 2,500 races, I go into these coaching sessions and I listen to Breyer and Zach and all of our coaches, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing wrong. This is I am still learning. I'm still far from great, and I mean, there are some races where I'm far from good, and I'm just making a complete idiot of myself.
Jeff, let's
Right.
take this minute. Let's take a minute here.
Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned a lot of guys, so let's mention those people that are behind the scenes that are doing the work for you, that are helping. You've got some
Right.
top level guys.
Yeah.
Who do you have there? Mention them, give them a shout out. Who does what for you? What makes the
So-
whole place work for you?
Yeah, we have really, the crew is absolutely amazing. And what I'm really proud of is how long everyone stays. There is no other shop on the service that keeps builders around for as long as we do. And we very rarely lose people. I mean, I'm pretty sure for 2020, for 2021, we kept pretty much every person on board most of the builders have been here for 2 years now. And that's absolutely crazy to me. So for the Legends cars, he's one of our new builders, is Dustin Mombriquette. We brought him in about a month or so ago. So he does just the Asphalt Legends cars. Then the late models is River Hayes and Bill Gross. And those two are absolutely phenomenal. Bill knows the theory of it inside and out. He knows why it's fast. And River Hayes is just a phenomenal driver. He knows how to get every single little bit out of that car. So if you're building and driving for 80%, we have River there because he is getting 110% out of that car. He is unbelievable. So he and Bill are an incredible tag team when they are firing on all cylinders, which is quite often. It is scary. I mean, they will go in.
Now,
and
these are the sets you're putting out for people to buy, right?
Yeah, we don't have 100% no BS,
No team sets, that kind of stuff.
nothing. No. Well, if you are a sponsored driver, you're pretty much all it is you get access to the Google Drive, and it's the same Google Drive that I pull the setups from each Sunday night to upload them to the website. We don't have any behind the doors BS, absolutely nothing. Now, the one exception to that is the Coke series, and that is a very fine line because the Coke series their weather and time of day and everything is different. Two, the Coke series, those cars are so unbelievably loose. You have to drive them as loose as possible in order to get speed on them. And that's how it's been for years. So if you I could not drive one of the Coke series setups. I couldn't do it.
Back
so
in 2016, when we had those, I couldn't
Yeah.
drive them either.
It's impossible to drive. And so if we put that out, people would come back to us and say, this setup's terrible. It's not any good. Okay, well, it's what's running the Coke series. So that's a big thing. If anyone ever tells you, and I'm looking straight into the camera, if anyone ever tells you that they are selling a Coke series setup, they are lying to you. Flat out, they are lying to you 100%. There is nothing that gets sold publicly for $9, for $8, for $5, for $20 that's running the Coke series. Because they are not going to give away the years of practicing and notebook filling and teamwork that they have put together. They're not going to sell that to their competitors. They're racing for $300,000, right? The champion gets $100,000. They are not going to give that away for $20. I'm sorry. They're not going to give it away for $1,000, let alone
I think
5,
Ray
10.
Alfalla was 3,000 or 4,000 when he won. So
Yeah. But nowadays they're racing for so much more. But they aren't.
So I agree
so-
with you. I agree with you about not being able to drive them because I I'm not going to give any names, but I've raced for a few setup shops. But anyway, we had got a hold of a Coke series because of connections like you're talking about, had gotten a hold of the Coke series set. And this guy was like, hey, let's go sign up for the next A Open. And, the guy that got it, because the connect, he said, we're not going to give it to you. They had to promise we won't get away. Plus, they'd already raced it. It was on Gen 6.
Old,
so it was old. It was on Gen 6. So they're getting ready to go to next gen. So it didn't really matter. He's like, let's go sign up for an A Open race and just try it out, And this guy was better than I did. He had like a 6,000-7,000 I rating, whatever. And I was like 4,500 at the time. And I was like, okay, let's do it. It was like me and him and one other guy that was like in the inside circle, display. And like,
you didn't finish top 10, did you?
No, it was horrible.
Yeah,
that was my point. I looked at him and I was talking to him on the radio. And I said, "This is a Coke." So he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I swear, this is the." And he even told me the team is a Coke set. And I was like, wow. I was like, they raced this? He's like, absolutely. And I was like, and it took me a while. I mean, by the end of the race, I was doing a lot better with it, but it was just different. Like, I'm not even saying bad. I'm just saying like, obviously it was good because the race in the Coke,
right.
It was just so different from what I had been doing and racing that I was like, man.
Yeah, Malik Gray gave me a setup one time. I call him Milky Way, and he gave me a setup, and before he went into the e-racer or the hop thing, whatever it's called now, and he gave it to me. I couldn't even turn the wheel. If I turned the wheel just a little bit, I was in circles.
Right. And so part of that is the Coke series runs under different weather conditions and track conditions and everything else. But no, I can't drive Coke series setups. So if the main point of that is, if anyone tells you that they're selling a Coke series setup, never trust the word they say. If they're going to lie to you about that,
I'll agree with you on that one. Yeah,
they are just flat out lying to you. I'm sorry, and there's going to be a lot of people that look and go, "Oh no, we really do. I promise." No, BS, 100%. Give me a break, because let's just think about it logically. Let's say the weather conditions are the same, which they're not. Let's say that they're, let's say they are selling the Coke series setup. They're selling that on Sunday night and they're going to go race Tuesday, right? They're absolutely. They're going to sell their secrets for what they're going to run in 2 days to all of their competitors for $9. No shot. No way. No. Just, you have to think about that just logically. That's never going to happen. So, yeah,
but that's just one exception. That's the A Open Coke stuff. I mean, everything else though, you're saying, yeah, what you guys build, you're selling basically.
And if anyone ever asks, and is this the Coke setup? No, it's not. It is not what. So the guy that builds the next gen setups, it's Taylor Hurst and Lee Overton, Chris Vanscoy. Lee Overton, so I'll get into that story in a second. Chris Vanscoy is the car chief for Raja Caruth. So I believe they're still leading the points in ARCA. They finished second yesterday. Yeah. So he's the car chief for Raja, and they're doing absolutely phenomenal there. So we have an ARCA car chief. We have a Coke Series driver, winner, builder in Taylor Hurst. And then we have Lee Overton, who has turned more laps in a race and in practice than I can possibly count. And so Lee is actually disabled. He has, and I believe the pronunciation is Ehlers-Danlos. And I'm saying this because it's like on his iRacing profile. He's very public about it. So I'm not like revealing private information. But it's extremely painful for him to move around. It's a terrible disease, and it's extremely painful. And he gets to work from home on his own schedule, making, he's not going to get rich. He's not going to pay for all his bills. But it helps quite a bit when you have now additional weekly income for something that you're doing anyways. And to have that opportunity, I think, to give him that opportunity is very cool. And it's something I'm proud of, because just a couple months ago, he got a surgery. It wasn't covered by insurance, that put basically spinal simulators in his back with a battery pack attached to his butt inside. And it basically uses electrical, as I understand, it uses electrical shock.
That's a real butt kicker.
Yeah, right. But it's significantly improved his quality of life. And it wasn't exclusively paid for by what he's made off of us, but he's made a good amount of money. He's made a good amount of money off of this. but it certainly helps. And so he gets that because of playing pretend race cars, and they get to go in, and Chris gets all this information for testing and everything. Now they don't take a setup that they build on iRacing and throw it into Raj's car in real life, but you're learning stuff when you're on there. And then we have Taylor Hirsch shipping in as well. So all three of them working together do our next gens for us, and they are really, really good, that trio. So is it, and again, is it what they're running, what Lockdown Racing is running in the Coke Series? No, because one, all the drivers run different stuff. Each driver makes their own adjustments to their comfort level. So if they say, "Oh, is this
It's
what they're
set.
running?" Right. Is this what they're running in the Coke Series? No, because they're not even running what they're running in the Coke Series. They're going, and they're making adjustments to each own, and then they make huge swings on the car each and every pit stop. So,
So who builds the Xfinity for you guys?
So that is Donovan Strauss, who built all of the setups for himself for Road to Pro last year, where he was the 2021 Road to Pro champion. And then he finished second overall in points in the Contender Series, which is the Xfinity Series. It's the one they run in the Xfinity cars, which is bottom 20 from Coke, top 20 from Road to Pro round 2. So he finished second there. He was top overall in Road to Pro. Donovan is phenomenal. God, that kid's 16 years old. He drives the Legend car in real life. He drives for Williams in the Coke Series. Just
Hey, that's
if you
a
want
heck
raw
of a job.
talent, yeah.
Well, that's a heck of a job for being 16, man. When I was 16, I was flipping hamburgers at McDonald's.
Right.
I'd much rather be playing pretend race car, building sets for you than I would be working at McDonald's. It probably pays better too.
So Donovan Strauss does the trucks and Xfinity for us, and I'll tell you what, he doesn't have anything to hide in the truck series. He's giving just unbelievable stuff. The setups that we're building are pretty much his Road to Pro setups from last year. For the road, so we do two different ones: C Open and Road to Pro, and they are similar but not the same. Road to Pro is built for longer races. It's built for different weather conditions. Typically, sometimes they're the same. It depends, but it's built for longer races. It's built for pretty much close, compact racing, because the setup has to be different for if you're 2 feet away from the guy in front of you and it's a pack racing, like highly competitive trucks. In Road to Pro, where there's 20 splits and 1,000 drivers, is going to be different than a 2 p.m. C Open, where you're going to have half a second to each and every car
separation.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I agree. Yeah. And I remember whenever I was running with Pay to Win, they were doing Road to Pro. It was like, hey, we need at least 10 of you guys to get out here and we need to race in tight formation and pack, to build, to help with building this set or whatever. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's totally different. And like when you're building for that, you got to have participation usually from, other guys helping you out so that you can get that telemetry and get that data and also, build for that tight quarters, and you got to have a lot of good racers doing it with you at the same time. I mean, if you got in there, if you're trying to build and you're a 5,000 iRating guy and you get, 4 or 5, 2,000 iRating guys in there with you trying to help run in the pack with you, that ain't going to work. So yeah, you definitely need a lot of time from teammates and stuff to be put in to build those.
The luxury that we have there, especially, is Donovan works with the Lockdown Racing guys. So he builds their setups that they're running in their private Road to Pro team. And it's the same thing as in the Coke Series. All of those drivers are running something different. So Jonathan Delaney likes his truck like this, and this driver likes this truck this way. And so they're not even running the same thing.
Right.
So he's able to go out and work with them and build a setup that we're able to use for anyone that can go out and run with it. And so he has that advantage there. But yeah,
and I find that totally legit. Like I know when you say all, if there's 6 guys running around at Road to Pro, the setup may have all came from the same source, but they're all different. And the reason I can vouch for that is like, so for instance, like we have a base that we work off of on B side for our team, and we modify it slightly, different tracks we go to and stuff. We got a good solid base for pretty much every track we have for a while now. There was a guy who was on our team a while back that built them, for some stuff. And I really started to like the way he did the rear end of the car. And so then I would go and somebody say, oh, our set's faster, X person, there's one person in particular, I won't call them out, but it said their set's faster at a certain place. And I say, okay. So I go and I buy the set and I even did it this time around again, just to see if what they're saying is true. But for me, I don't know what it's like for them, but for me, the way we designed our team set works better for me. I get an extra tenth or two a lap on a long run out of the way we built our rear end versus the way that they built theirs, but they're swearing theirs is better. And that guy that built one of their team drivers gets in it, and he can do better than I can with theirs than what I'm doing. But when I run theirs, the way I'm running the car, so I'm saying I agree 100% with what you're saying. I can vouch for that just on our team. That like, and there's even like a variety of guys on our team that likes to design there's likes to tweak their back end a little different than ours. Are the way I like to do it, and then they find speed that way too. It just depends on how you drive the car.
Right. There's 3 or 4 of us racing last week, and we all had different sets.
Yeah. And that's how it is for any team.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, and that's why we've got a Discord with, I mean, gosh, there's like 800 something people in it, and we're always talking and answering questions and helping out. And if I don't see it and answer to it, because I can answer pretty much any question. I was the I was the analyst for the eNASCAR Road to Pro series last year on Podium when I was working for them. And so I was watching the top split races and I was the analyst. So I had to know all this stuff, the adjustments they were making, why they were doing it, what the pit strategy was going to be. So I don't do it a lot, but I have skill as a crew chief on iRacing, and I help out Joey. He's one of our drivers, and I work with him for Road to Pro. And I mean, we got wrecked out of 2 wins so far, so we've had some really, really bad luck. And I hate accounting things to bad luck, but like, man, we got once intentionally wrecked on the last lap at Vegas. He just drove in, went clean through us, cleaned us out. We protested it and won, but I mean, it was blatantly obvious intentional. Then there was another time, it was actually Raja. He at Richmond missed the shift, and we just drove right into the back of him because he shifted from, I believe it was 3rd to 2nd, and it didn't blow his motor, but he just slowed down a bunch, and we drove right into the back of him, which destroyed our truck. At Atlanta, we avoided a wreck through the grass, and the truck looked fine. Everything looked fine. And then we pitted and we put tires on. And I made one small adjustment, and all of a sudden, this thing was terrible. The truck was just undrivable, and we're like, what is going on? We went from 3rd to 20th, and we're half a second a lap off, and we're like, there's no damage, there's nothing wrong with it, but the truck just had no speed all of a sudden. I'm like, I didn't adjust it enough to lose this much, and we're scratching our heads trying to figure it out. Turns out when we went through the grass, we caught a little bump which creased it in just a bit, and it broke the front end, and we had no idea. And I'm like, I noticed it later. I'm like, the front end's a mile off the track. And the adjustment I made wouldn't have changed the ride heights at all. And so we realized that the suspension got broken when we took it through the grass, and that ruined it. So, anyways, so I do a lot of stuff there, and we'll make adjustments to it all the time. And, but for me, like, I will take setups. Granted, I've been running our setups ever since the beginning, and I pull them straight off the website because, again, there's no secret team setup. There's no little cabal all sitting behind a curtain going, these are the real setups. These are what we're running. Like, no, what we are running is what is on the website. I will literally go on the Google Drive and grab it, download it, and put it in. Now, do I know what adjustments I like right away? Absolutely. I take any tour mod setup I get. I immediately change the gear so that it is right on the chip, and they say not to do it because you're losing power. And the way I drive it, I absolutely muscle those cars far more than anyone else. So I have to take the toe. I change the toe. I change the gear, and I usually add front left caster every time, no matter what the track is, because I know with where our setups are and how they're built and what I like, I'm going to change the gear so that I am right on the chip versus being a little bit off of it, because it does power band, if you get up to that point and you're not gaining anything by being close to it. But I use it for corner exit that I can put down more power, and I get those runs and I can hang on someone's left rear. Because when I'm racing top split strength of field on Monday nights, the only way you make passes is by getting to them on corner exit and hanging on their left rear so that they can't get to the bottom of the next corner anywhere. Martinsville to Milwaukee, it has to be like that.
Right.
So, and I know what I like in a car. So I like having a lot of rear gear so that I can stand on it and really pull on corner exit, versus other people, They don't like that at all. They want to be able to, and I sacrifice that because when I'm on corner entry, I am losing so much speed because that short gear is pulling the car back so much. So I sacrifice corner entry for corner exit because that works better for my driving style. And I know what adjustments that I want to make. Now, if you buy our setups for 3-4 weeks in a row, you might be like, oh, I know that I like, you might be the opposite in that you want to be really strong on corner entry. You want to send that car in and know that you can rely on it. So you might tighten it up a bit and you might change the gear so that it's longer, but you can drive it in harder and carry more speed when you're off the gas because it's not pulling you back as much. It all depends.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's fair to say. I mean, I think that like, so a couple thoughts on that real quick. And then I want to segment into one last thing so so I think that one thing, it's something that guys say to make themselves feel better about the fact that they aren't putting in the time or learning the driving they need to do to be faster. Like, oh, well, if I had the secret team set they had, then I'd be faster. Well, they don't know if somebody has a secret team set or not from a setup shop what they're running, what they run on the website. That's just their way of saying, well, that's why that guy has yeah, right. But it's like, that's why that guy has a 5,000 I rating. I only have a 2,500 is because they're running in some secret thing. Well, no, it could be you got a 2,500 because you haven't put the time in to learn how to drive right. And I'm not trying to degrade anybody. I'm just saying that's the reality. That's why people say, oh, well, Jeff's got this secret setup that he runs or whatever. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So that's one thought. And the other thought that I had was, I can just tell you from my personal experience, a lot of the I don't run for a shop now, partly because I left one place and it's my choice, because doing the YouTube videos and stuff, like I want to be able to have you on and be able to have somebody else on and like whatever, and not be like loyal one place as far as like people thinking, oh, well, he's just doing that because he runs for so-and-so. So it's kind of a choice at this point. But here a while, so I ran for a couple places. They want you to run what's on the website with 0 changes, and then I was in talks with somebody else to go run for them here about 4 months ago, and they wanted me and anybody from the team that wanted to come and like basically bring our team in to run for them. And one of my stipulations was I don't want to have to be forced to run what's on your website. Like, not that I was trying to say it was slower, but I was like, what if I change the rear end just a little bit for me better or whatever, and it may suck for somebody else, but it's what I like, then I can't say I'm running what you downloaded. Like, and it was just the last place I ran for. People were asking me, is that what you're running? What's on the website? I was like, well, pretty much. I was like, I build a little bit off of it. It's what I start with. I was like, I make a few changes that I like. I was like, but you may hate it. I was like, but yeah, I mean, pretty much is what I'm running, but I can't say it's super competitive. It'll get you where you want to go, and if you want to mess with it, it's a good place to start. Right. But that wasn't liked, like that was frowned upon.
And I think that says a lot, because what I tell everyone, and you can ask any one of my builders, I will flat out tell them, if you find something, keep always try something. You shouldn't, if you take the car and don't make any adjustments to it on the pit stop, then you better win that race by 20 seconds. Because if you're not making any adjustments on a pit stop, that means that car is absolutely perfect.
Well, the difference was I wasn't a builder; I was a team driver.
Right? So and I'll tell the team drivers the same thing though. And it's like, if you find something, I want you to be fast, and I know our setups are great for that, and people will be fast on our setups. Make the adjustments that work for you. I adjust the cars. I make changes to them every single time I get in the car. For the truck series set, I ran 2 or 3 of those last week. And I was doing, in the C Opens, I was running the Road to Pro set, because I was doing, if I found something in there, I would take it and carry it over and let our team know, hey, this is what I found for Road to Pro, because that's what a lot of our group cares a lot about. The guys that I run the most with, Joey and Trevor and William, what they care about is Road to Pro. And so I want to help as much as I can in the limited time. So I was running the Road to Pro set in C Open. And I said, hey, in the runs that I was doing, full fuel runs, I went up 2 clicks on the ballast and I added 1 pound to the left rear tire. And I said, try that, see how that works for you guys. And 2 of them loved it. 1 of them hated it. He goes, this thing is terrible. Absolutely will not turn in the center. And the other guys are like, I'm still too loose. So it all depends. But like, what I tell them is, yeah, make adjustments, find what works for you. You drive the car entirely differently than I do. There will be times where Joey Masevich and I, we used to race all the time, every single day for 6 hours a day, back when we both had more time in the day. But we would, every single time, we would start the week on Tuesday with the exact same setup. And what comes to mind is the trucks at Dover. We had the exact same setup, and short run, I pulled 5 seconds on him. I pulled probably 6 or 7 seconds on him. I was just gone. And then 30 laps later, he's there. And 10 laps after that, he's 5 seconds ahead of me. Exact same setup. And we're both good. We're both good drivers. We're both 4,000 or so. He's higher now, but and we had the exact same, everything the same. He blew by me long run, but short run, I killed him. Just completely different driving styles. And so we would adjust from there and bounce ideas off. And we would go to the builders and say, hey, this is what we found. Does this work? What do you think? Yeah. I guess that's another thing. It sort of ties back into if someone tells you they're selling you a Coke setup, they're lying. If a person says they're running exactly what's on the website with no changes whatsoever, I would be a little skeptical, because if they didn't make any changes on the pit stops, if they didn't make any changes over the course of the week because the track will get hotter or cooler, that's a little iffy. And if someone asked me, Jeff, what did you do for I think the tour mods are at South Boston this week. So I like a really short gear. I like a really loose car at South Boston. I like a really loose tour mod. So probably what I'm going to do when I sit down and test, because I haven't had time, I just got home, is I'm going to go in. I'm probably going to shorten the gear 1 click, and I'm probably going to add a lot of left front caster to it and reset the toe. So the toe is going to be where it's at. I know what it's set at. I'm not going to say it because it's, you can buy the set and find out. So I'm going to reset the toe to what it is and add left front caster, reset it, and go from there and try that. So now I may go in and test that, and it might be terrible. I don't know. I haven't tested it yet. But
that's not to say that you have to make changes from what's on the website.
You don't have to.
Right. So I want to give you an example. Like, we just picked up on our team here in the last couple of weeks a really great guy. He's a young guy. He's probably one of the youngest guys on the team now, or the youngest on our team. His name's Adrian Durr, and he's around 30 years old, and he is a customer of yours. I didn't know that when we picked him up. I think he's a subscription. He buys a subscription for the B car. I think. I don't know.
What was his name again?
Adrian Durr. Is his name? He's just a customer. We picked him up, and he's like, most of the guys in our team are mid 4,000 I rating. Most, not all. I mean, Robert and Scott are in the mid 3,000s, and most of us are mid 4,000s. But Adrian, here's my point.
I'm a starting park, Jeff, just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, but Adrian,
field filler.
He got to low to mid 4,000s by simply just running your set straight off the website without making a single change.
And that's awesome. It works for some people, and some people like to make adjustments. It all depends. I know what I like in a car, and I'm for Xfinity, I don't touch anything on those cars. Donovan, I love what Donovan does to those cars for me is perfect. I don't touch those, and
for the first 2 years I was on iRacing, or year and a half, 2 years, at least year and a half, I didn't know enough about setups to make 1 click of an adjustment. So what I did, which I think made me a better driver, was I would get the set off the website for whatever shop I was running for, and I would run it straight out of the box and wouldn't make a change. And I ended up adjusting my driving to fit that set and still be fast. And so I think that helped me out in the long run, because it allows me now, if a set's doing something funky on the track that I don't like, I can change my driving a little bit to make up for it, because I had to do that. But now Tracy's took me under his wing about comes that kind of stuff. And I'm making little adjustments here and there and for myself and stuff, but I didn't used to do that. So, Yeah. So anyway, let me finish out what I was going to say is so when I started about a half hour ago, when we got sidetracked on was that, so, me and you've raced a couple times together. You saw our videos when I first started putting them up. You're like, hey, Mike, let me reach out to you. Let me get you a promo code on all your viewers and come get 10% off of our single setup purchases. And I put it in all of our videos. I appreciate that, man. You seem like a nice guy. I had you on. You and I really haven't ever talked like long form until now. We've chit chatted on the radio a couple times back and forth in races. But so with all that being said, I like to point out like things that make setup shops different. So there's one type of setup shop, which I call a service, which would be like your Majors Garage, your VRSs, and your Apex Racing Academies, Craig's setup shop. I'm trying to name a few of them that are like a cheap monthly subscription gets you a zillion sets, and you're just buying it. You're paying a little bit of money to get a zillion sets. So their value is the amount of money you pay versus the sheer number of sets you get, whether the fastest thing or not. That's a different story, right?
Right.
And they kind of compete against each other. And then I segue into the fact, there's what I like to call, that's the setup service. They're offering you the service of a zillion sets for a cheap amount of money. Then there's like the true setup shop where you're trying to sell speed, right? There's a whole nother level of setup shop that is out there to sell you speed. Like you want fast sets.
Oh, they claim.
Yeah.
Right.
And so,
Check the notes.
Yeah, there's you guys, there's EPI, there's the new one called Nitro, there's Pay to Win, there's Ryko, I can sit here and name several more, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys are trying to sell speed. And there's sometimes a lot of drama there because people argue who's faster, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. But what I'm looking at is what separates you guys from everybody else. And so Pay to Win's got this new super cheap subscription, but I don't think they're updating their sets like they used to. They used to, like back in the day when they used to sell $10 a set for a Be Open set or something, they would give you the primary set, and then as they made changes during the week, you might get 2 or 3 updates. And I just felt like it was cutting edge. Now they've went back to a subscription model. It's almost like VRS. I'm not saying VRS like the speed. So everybody Pay to Win, don't get offended that I just compared you to VRS saying we're faster than VRS. Yes, you are. Okay. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is though, is VRS, you come in on Sunday and you get the set for the week and that's it. You don't get any updates during the week. And they've kind of gone to that too. Like it's a cheaper subscription, but now you go in on Sunday, you get the one set and then that's it. There's no more updates. That's what you get. And then Ryko puts out 10 zillion updates. They might put out 5 updates in a week. Who knows? But they don't have any subscription models or nothing like that. It's all single set. Now you guys are kind of a blender, a mixture of those two. There's other places that don't offer subscriptions. Like EPI doesn't offer subscriptions. It's all single setup purchases. They got a great Discord community. And so I've been doing some setup shop review series stuff. Haven't got to you guys yet. I've been putting that off because me and Tracy's been doing the Motec stuff here recently. But yeah, we've been focused on other videos, setup videos, Motec videos. I'm going to circle back around to the setup shop review series. But I'll hit you up when I do you guys. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at, man, is that there's a couple of cool things I saw when I went to your website. I want to talk about those. Then I want you to kind of elaborate on anything else. One cool thing I saw was you offer subscriptions, which you've already talked about. That's something that in the setup shop, the faster speed setup world, that you don't see too often. I remember when I used to race for Pay to Win with David Lamb way back in the day, I kept telling him, none of these setup shops are doing subscriptions. I was like, man, just offer subscription, make it a little more. Not ask you to do everything for $10 like VRS, but like give them a bit of a discount and do a monthly subscription. I think you would pick up customers, and you might make more money. And nobody did. Then all of a sudden everybody started, a few people started doing that like 3-4 months ago. And I saw you offered season packs. One of the first ones, you started offering these subscriptions. And so talk more about this subscriptions. I saw you there's the all access $50 a month to get you everything, and start talking about these single car packs. Like, how are they a good deal? Like, how does that separate? Because I think that separates you from everybody else. Because like if somebody just likes A Open or just likes B Open or just likes C Open and that's it, and they only want to drive one car, like tell them what you're doing to make that cheaper for them to be loyal to you.
I hit the mute button on my microphone by accident. So yeah, Danica has stopped by. I'm going to pick.
Yeah, we got to see her. Let's see her. Get her right in the camera.
Danica Catrick. All right.
I hit my mute button again, but this is Danica, little Danicat. I call her Danica Catrick. She's a good kitty, but sometimes she's talkative. Let's see. What's on your mind, Danica?
Well, anyway, I mean, I know I was talking a lot, but I just wanted to get you my mindset of where I was coming in. Like, what separates you from everybody else, and how do those single car packs really, really like help out the driver and stuff?
Right. And so there's so many things that set us apart. And if you want to know what other places are going to be doing 3 months from now, look at what we're doing today. That's I guess the best way to put it. I mean, seriously, we were the first to offer so many of these things. We were the first to do individual setups for sale, and we started at $5, and then all of a sudden everyone else is starting up shop selling setups, and then we started doing season passes where we would do the entire season. They'd be emailed out to you every week.
Yep.
And then we did subscriptions and all these different things. So we do a subscription that is, you can do it by car, individual car, and those are all $1 more than the 1 week setup. So you can get a tour mod setup.
Insane deal.
Yeah,
I mean, that is an insane
it's a great deal. And so you get a tour mod set up for $7, which in and of itself isn't bad. $7 for I run the tour mod setups. I tell you the adjustments I make. I like to change the gear and shorten it 1 click at the most. I usually like to add left front caster so I can muscle the thing. So I make very, very few adjustments, if at all. Sometimes I don't even need to make those changes. It's perfect for me right out the box. It depends how it is in testing. And what we do is, for $1 more, you can get that setup for the entire month. So you will get 4 weeks out of it, right? And you just go on the website, you can download it. And so if you get it tonight, May 15th, you will have access until June 15th. Well, I guess on the East Coast, it's the 16th now. So you would have access until June 16th. So it's 1 month from there. You can have it automatically renew. You can have it not. You can just see if you like it, whatever. So you have, and if you cancel, let's say today's the 16th, and then you cancel on June 18th, you will still have access until July 16th. Then you still would get, if you paid for 2 months, you get 2 full months. And that's just all handled automatically through the website. That's not any human intervention. That is the website automatically handles and tracks all that. I now have cat hair all over my face. But you can get for $1 more that. Or let's say you run trucks, Xfinity, and Next Gens, and that's all you run. Okay, you can get the NASCAR you can get either those cars for $10 each, or the NASCAR subscription for $20, which is all 3 of those cars. Let's say you run only...
So what was that now? If you want to get all 3 NASCAR truck, Xfinity, and A Open, that's probably a very popular package. And how much is that per month?
That's $20 per month. Surprisingly, the most popular package is the all asphalt, which is Legends to Next Gens on the ovals, minus the sprint cars, because that series unfortunately isn't very much alive anymore, which breaks my heart because those cars are a lot of fun. If you get the setup correct, they are a lot of fun. If you have the iRacing baseline setup, they are absolutely miserable. But that also has all of the road setups as well. So that is the Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari GT3, the Porsche, Aston Martin, and McLaren GT4, Honda and Hyundai TCR, F3, F1, and LMP2 for European Sprint Series and IMSA. So you get all of those and all the asphalt oval ones for $30 a month, or get all of the dirt cars you can get all of the dirt cars for just $30 a month. You can get the Pro Late models, Super Late models, and Big Block Modifieds for $20, the 360 and 410 wing sprints for $20, all of them together for $30, or everything that we sell, 20 plus setup packs per week with qualifying race, everything else, for $50 a month. And those are seriously phenomenal deals.
Absolutely. So do you guys typically during the week, I know this is a question. So I'm asking these questions like if I was just the average iRacer, the above average iRacer, because when I looked at the statistics, Jeff, of like iRating and like what percentage of iRacers had certain iRating levels, and found out that but 3,500 was Division 1, and that's like you know,
top 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's even more than, I think it's like top 5. But anyway, but point is it depends on what series you're in. But yeah, top 10, top 5%. I'm like, okay, wow. That okay. That means you're like one of the best.
Mhm.
And then above 4,000, okay, maybe it is the top 10% at 3,500. Then above 4,000 is like the top 5% or something like that. And then it gets really ridiculous when you start going above 5,000. Then you're down to like the top 1% or something. And 6,000 is like the top 0.1% or something like that. But anyway, it's like, okay, so let's just assume I'm part of the above average iRacing crowd. I'm like 3,500 ish, give or take 500, and so that's why I'm asking these questions, like in that, with that mindset. So let's say that's where I'm at. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, and so when somebody is in that area, here's what I suggest to them. If they come to me or come to one of the guys on the team, he says, what do you guys suggest? Who would you go get setups from? Like, where do you buy them from? Or do you build them? Like, what do you guys do? And my typical advice to them is to go find somewhere where they're comfortable. You're comfortable with the set first. I mean, they're all pretty fast. But you guys are the fastest. I'm just checking. I mean,
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
We got the best builders, best community, best setups.
So according to Jeff Maconi, the Maconi setup shop is the fastest. But point is that in the top split races every week, you got team drivers and builders from all the I would call top tier setup shops competitive with each other. Okay, and so I would say find somewhere where you like the set because they're all a little different, and B, find somewhere where you like the community. And find somewhere that you can be loyal to, keep coming back, because once you get used to that builder, then you're going to find speed just by getting used to his building style. And so with everything you just said, I think you have made it really easy for somebody to give you guys an honest shot to say, I would say be loyal to that builder and that company, and maybe the builder more than the company, because the builder goes, so I've had people just follow builders, wherever they go because they like that builder.
Right.
But I think everything you just said makes the above average iRacer, gives them the opportunity. Hey, $20 a month gets me all the NASCAR stuff. Or if I just like be open, I can go pay $1 more than 1 week and get a full month. And that lets them try you out for a month and give it a real shot. Because if I just buy your set and run it one time, like we were talking about before, what does that tell me? Right. It tells me all it tells me is the way I currently drive works well or doesn't work well with that set. That's all it tells me.
Flavor of the day.
Yeah. But you've given them the opportunity for like $10 or whatever, for whatever car they like to run, or $20 for all the NASCAR stuff, or all the other options you just gave, to come give you an honest shot for a month. And I think a month is a long enough time to give somebody an honest shot, and it's a way to earn customers. And I also think that that it also gives them time to get in your Discord, to hang out with you and your team, and to really get a flavor if I like these people. I mean, because if I like the way they do business, if I like what they're doing, if they're helping me, is it more than just purchasing a setup and then taking my money and saying, see you next week or next month? Are they really invested in me? Not me as a human being necessarily, but just they care about their customers.
Driver. Yeah.
So they just care about their customers and willing to go, to do a little extra every once in a while if you need it or whatever. And so, dude, I think those are pretty cool options. I think those are things that I think you've clearly defined things that separate you guys from the other shops. And I hope people that watch this, and I would say this with anybody that's on here, somebody else comes on and says, here's the things that make me different from Jeff. There may be things that make them different than you. Then I'll be like, okay, cool. Go try that out. But I think everything you said is an above average iRacer. I would be willing to say, hey man, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna give Jeff $20 to go try out his NASCAR stuff for a month or two and see if I like it. And I think you've done that. And I've got some comments here that I want to, a couple of questions that people in the chat have just asked. There's a dude, his name's William, and he's asked a couple of questions, and I've answered him a little bit about Road to Pro. Basically, William's asking, is there a difference between the Road to Pro set and the C Open set on your website, Jeff? And he says RTP one is more expensive, but is it the same set? Is basically what he's asking.
Right. So we touched on that a little bit earlier. So welcome to the show and everything. Appreciate you asking the question. So Road to Pro and C Open, sometimes they are the same weather, sometimes they are not. For Kansas, it is the same weather, same time of day, same everything. Now, the difference there is in the style of racing. Road to Pro, your average C Open split, I would say you get 1, 2 max at any given time of day. If you run it at 4:45 p.m. on actually, it depends on your time zone, but if you run it at 45 past the hour at like, noon, 1 o'clock, whatever, and it might be 20 people, and that's all who signed up, versus you run it later at night, maybe there's 2 or 3 splits. But when you get to Road to Pro, you are running against, I mean, there were over 1,000 people. I think it was like 1,200, 1,400 people that signed up for Daytona. And there's still 600 or 700 people that sign up for each and every race. So with so many splits, the racing is going to be closer because the skill levels are so much closer. So the setup there is built for bumper to bumper. It's going to be a lot closer. You're against people where you're going to have to do a bit more driving in dirty air, which the truck's momentum based. Dirty air is huge. Versus C Open, it's going to spread out. C Open, you're racing 800 I rating versus 5,000 I rating. There's going to be pull away. Versus Road to Pro, it might be in a fourth split or something. It might be 4,000 to 4,800, and it's an 800 split, if that. So it's built for closer racing. It's built for high-level competitive racing, in the sense of you do 1 race a week. You are practicing as much as you can on this setup, and you're running it for long runs. So this is built for really for the top split Road to Pro, the first 5 splits. You're going to have 1 to 2 cautions at most, typically, because the racing there typically is pretty clean. So you're expecting fewer cautions, so long fuel runs. It's a very long run truck. Now, C Open, it's built for you will build, and you're expected to pull away and not be in dirty air from, there might be a half-second gap between the cars versus a 1/10 gap is one part. And typically you're going to see more cautions. So we might sacrifice a little bit, at the end to be stronger in the middle. Versus Road to Pro, you need that strength at the end just as much in the middle. So it depends on,
and there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between building for clean air versus building for dirty air. Big difference. Right. The cars and the trucks, like everything runs so much different in dirty air than they do in clean air. In fact, I've been in B Open, it's less pack racing most of the time. And I'm just going to contest to what you're talking about, Jeff, is that like we get so frustrated. Like all of our sets in B Open were originally built for clean air because we would qualify good. We would get out in front and stay out in front most of the time on top 5, and we'd separate a little bit. And then we would get frustrated sometimes running the super high strength of field races at like 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night, the first couple nights of the week, because we would be running with people higher, so like what we're talking about in Road to Pro, with a closer skill level to us. And then we would get in dirty air a lot more, and we'd be complaining, man, this thing's tight in dirty air. Blah, 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 because it's just, there's some changes that you got to make to a set, whatever difference between running in clean air versus dirty air. And I think what not just you guys, but a lot of people that do Road to Pro build those sets to run in dirty air all the time.
Right. And I see William's question here. That makes sense. But why is a set that is practically unusable once more expensive than a set I can use 100 times in a week? You can run the Road to Pro set in C Open, and it will work. It's not built explicitly for it, but it will work and get the job done and do well. Now, why is it more expensive? Because we sell less of them. You have 600 people that'll run Road to Pro, and so just business, we have to, in this case, charge more because we're trying to even out the sales. So that's more of a business decision of, this is a specialized product, because one, from a business perspective, I have to pay Donovan more to build that setup. He's building another setup per week. He already builds 2 cars per week. So I have to pay him another 50% for a third car. So I have to pay more. I have to cover my costs on that. So because we're selling less of them.
Yeah, it's not worth his time. Like as a builder, if I'm not gonna get paid hardly anything for it, why would I spend the time building? No, I'm with you.
Right.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
And also I can't lose money on it every week for 8 weeks. We can't lose money on that. So we have to make a profit on it. And, we have to pay Donnie, and we have to make a profit on it, that any business has to. Like there, no lying. I make money off of this. This is a job. I have to make money, and it keeps the doors open and lets us do everything that we're able to do and work with all the amazing people that we get to work with. And so with that, it does cost a little bit more because we spend a lot of time building it. We get fewer sales than a C Open set because, you might have 2,000 people that run C Open and 600 run Road to Pro. And a lot of those people will take the C Open set as well and just run that in Road to Pro. Will it work? Yeah. Will it be as good? No, it's not built for it. It's just not built for it. So it's like taking last season's Pocono setup, like we mentioned earlier, and running it this season. We got Texas coming up. Could you take the Texas set from last season and run it for this season? Yeah. Is it going to be as good? No, it's not built for it. It's different weather conditions. It's different time of day. It's so much has changed. We've learned stuff from there. So it's not a one-to-one example, but think of it as, will it work? Yes. Will it be what we're selling the other one for? No, it's not going to be the same.
And I think there's another aspect too that we had, neither one of us has commented on to finish out answering William's question, is that it's like saying, so then is the RTP set then superior to the C Open for C Opens? I'd say no. It's just different, right? Because if C Opens, if you're in clean air most of the time, then you want the C Open set because it's built to run in clean air. But if you're running Road to Pro and you're in dirty air all the time, then you need the set that's built for dirty air. It's not that one's superior to the other. It's just they're built for completely different race conditions.
Right. They're built for their,
and I want to say not track conditions. Yeah.
Right.
They're not built for different track conditions. That sometimes they are, if it's a different time of the day or whatever, but sometimes they are. But in this particular case in Kansas, it's not that they're built for different track conditions. It's the same track time, supposedly same track temperature range. It's just what you're building it for: dirty air versus clean air.
Right. And think of it like this. We have, for the NASCAR cars, the qualifying set and the race set. And now they both have the same amount of fuel. And then the next, let's use the next gens as an example. They both have the same grill tape because there isn't any. So can you run the qualifying setup in the race? Yeah, it'll work. It's not going to blow. I mean, it used to blow up because it had a bunch of tape on it, but
might burn tires a lot more.
Right. But you're going to burn the tires off of it. It's not going to drive the same. It's not built to run in the race conditions. It's built to run 2 fast laps, and that's it. So will a qualifying set on the next gen work for the race? Yeah. Is it good for it? No. It'll get you around, but is it what it's built to do?
Fall back.
Right. Is it what it's built to do? No. So it's sort of that difference there. But
yeah, I just wanted to dispel the fact that the Road to Pro is a superior set.
Right.
It's not superior or inferior either. It's just built for different driving conditions.
Right.
Yeah, purpose built.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Jeff, I tell you, that's pretty much all I had. And we've been about 2 hours now. I appreciate you being on with us a little over 2 hours. And So appreciate your time, man. Your time is valuable. And I know you could be doing other stuff now, but you spend it here chilling out with us and talking.
And Danica
Catrick. We appreciate her making an appearance.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, we could sit around, talk racing and iRacing and real racing and playing in virtual cars in the game. Like you said, we could do that probably for the 2 or 3 hours, but we're not going to. Man, we pretty much covered everything that I think we wanted to cover tonight. We just appreciate your time and hanging out with us and having fun talking about this stuff with us. And also, man, I appreciate you taking the time to answer some of the questions in the live chat. I've been answering some, Tracy has, but a couple of them were specific for you. So I wanted to make sure we included all the people participating in the live chat. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I just enjoyed getting to know you better too, and talking about your personal stuff, talking about the real life racing stuff you're doing, and also, getting to know you and getting to know your shop better and stuff and the stuff you're doing there. And I've actually got to know your shop a little bit better just by Adrian coming on our team and telling us. I said, because none of us, we had we had some guys that we have several builders on our team that build sets, and we had a builder that we liked his sets from before. And like, so now we got enough people on our team that, not very many of us are running the same thing anymore. But so we do a lot of our own stuff on Be Open where we focus. We don't really buy a whole lot of sets. So I really didn't know a lot about your sets in your shop before Adrian come on. He was like, oh yeah. He's like, I've been buying Jeff's sets for a while and I love them. And they've gotten me to, 4,000 something. And so I started to hear a little bit more about what you're doing over there. So I went and whenever you got a hold of me and gave me the promo code, I went to your site and just checked your site out and stuff. And so I feel like we've been getting to know you better. And I hope that this podcast has given our viewers a chance to get to know you and your shop a bit better. And so I'm going to kind of give you the final word. Like, anything else you want to tell to plug your shop or to promo anything you're doing right now, or anything you want everybody to watch out for coming up, just kind of give you the last word to give your shop a final plug before we finish out.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm always happy to answer questions and work with people. So if anyone ever has any questions, first and foremost, join our Discord. It's right on our website. You go to www.maconisetupshop.com, MACONI setupshop.com, all one word. And on the right side, you can click to join our Discord. I highly recommend it. There's hundreds of people in there. Always happy to help. Even if you never buy anything, just join the Discord and ask questions and learn and have fun and meet people to race with. I think there's a lot that sets Maconi Setup Shop apart. We were one of the first. We were really the first ones to do it the way we do. There's a lot of people that copy us and try to keep up, but if they're all constantly running behind us business-wise, you can bet that they're going to be running behind us on the track as well. We have an amazing team of builders. The Legends cars are done by Dustin Monbriquette. You have the SK mods, Tour mods, and Super Late models done by Trevor Edwards, who is a phenomenal driver and crew chief and builder on iRacing and in real life. You have Bill Gross and River Hayes working together on the late models. Donovan Strauss doing trucks and Xfinity. He's the 2021 Road to Pro champion, races in the Coke Series for Williams Esports. We sponsor him there. On the 20 car, he finished 5th at Kansas last week. You have also on the next gens, Taylor Hurst, who drives up in the Coke Series. He is a builder, driver, and all-around awesome guy. He is also one of our sponsored drivers. He's on the staff. He builds the next gens alongside Lee Overton and Chris Vanskoy. Chris Vanskoy actually is the car chief for Raja Karuth in the ARCA series in real life, and they're the current points leader, so they are having a phenomenal season. So you've got an ARCA car chief for the current points leader. You've got a Coke Series winner as a driver many times over as a setup builder. You have over on the roadside, Daniel Civisvavo does an amazing job with all of our road setups. One man handles all of those road cars by himself each and every week. I don't know how he does it, but he is one of the hardest working guys I've ever met.
Yeah, that's a heck of a job right there.
It is. Jeez. Yeah. And it's all different types of cars. So he does every single week, TCRs, GT4, GT3, F3, F1, and the LMP2s every single week. And every single time they're phenomenal. And all of our special event stuff, everything that he does is amazing. So check out his stuff. You have Davin Cardwell and Nick Cooper over on the dirt side. Davin does the late models and Nick does the wing sprints. Absolutely phenomenal job by those guys. You have Presley Sora working his magic on the social media side for us. He runs our Facebook and our Twitter and our Instagram. There's so many amazing people behind the scenes, and I'm very lucky that I get to be the face of it. And they are what drives it. They are what make it all possible. What's really amazing is how many of our builders stay on for the long term. So Bill was the first person I ever had come in and build setups for me on the late models. And he has been here for over 2 years now. Lee Overton and Chris Vanskoy have been here almost 2 years. Trevor's been here almost 2 years. We brought Davin in a couple months ago. We brought Dustin in a couple months ago. Nick, we brought in last year. Daniel, we brought in last year. But all of these builders, Donovan, we brought in, and Taylor, we brought in last year. All of these people are here for the long haul with us. And they've been here for a while. You know that what you're getting is quality. You know that what you're getting is trusted by hundreds, thousands of drivers each week on the track. It's trusted by, we've worked with Real Tracks, we've worked with Stafford, we've worked with Nashville Fairgrounds, we worked with Five Flags and did the setup for the official fixed setup Snowball Derby in 2020 when that was the 1 year it happened. We've gotten so many amazing people. We're partnered with Junior Motorsports, which there's no other setup shop that's even come close to partnering with a NASCAR team. We work with eNASCAR constantly. If you went to Daytona, Talladega, or Atlanta, I really feel like I went to one other race this year, but I don't know what it would have been. If you've been to any of those and you were at the eNASCAR stage, I was up there on the stage being interviewed, throwing shirts, all this other stuff. The reason that we're trusted by all of those groups, that we're trusted by eNASCAR and Junior Motorsports as a partner, is because we do things right. We're a legitimate company. We're an LLC, so we're held to a higher standard than these fly-by-night groups that can take their money and leave at any time. I've seen it before with setup groups that just all of a sudden one day shut down without a word and they take people's money. And people have paid for setups for months in advance and they're out the money because someone just up and left. And so there's no other places that really run with a name and face attached to it. That's quite like us. You have Craig's setup shop. I love Craig. Craig is awesome. His streams are great. He's a nice guy. You have Mike Gillette over at Majors, but there's very few groups who are operating with the level of self-respect and credibility that deserve people's hard-earned money. And I think a big thing with that is there's so many groups, there are so many setup shops that are flat out lying to people. If you can't find out on their website or their Discord or some of their social media some way to know who's building those setups, I don't know why you would ever spend your money with them. If the shop owner is operating under a fake name, I don't know why you're ever trusting them. If they're telling you they're selling one thing and you know it's just not it, if you're getting pulled by a mile by their house drivers and you know that it's not the same setup, don't give them your money. If they tell you they're selling you a Coke Series setup that a competitor in the Coke Series could go buy for a couple bucks, don't trust them. If you don't have a name and a face associated with what you're purchasing in the online world, I would be very suspicious of it. And you've worked hard for your money. You've worked hard to get the money that you spent on your rig, on the setups, on your iRacing subscription, on everything. Don't throw that away and buy subpar products from some shady guy who's just operating just to make a quick buck. And that's not at all what it's about. If I only cared about money, I wouldn't be driving from track to track to go to all these different events to meet the people. That shirt behind me is one of over 100. I don't know if you can see the box behind my chair. No, it's sitting behind the couch over there. I have a box of over 100 t-shirts that I had custom made by our partners over at Abruzzi. We made a single run of them and we're going to give every single one away. I had to pay for that out of my pocket for all of those t-shirts that we're giving away at the Junior Motorsports Fan Day. For one thing, you can say, wow, that's a lot of free shirts we're giving away. The bigger thing that I would take away from it is we are the only setup shop that's going to ever, we're the only one that's ever been invited by a NASCAR team to go and set up a booth at their fan day. Like, if this wasn't, we said to them, hey, can we go set up a booth there? I know this event's going on. Can we set this up? We've been working with them for months now. And we get an email one day saying, Jeff, we want you, Jeff, Maconi Setup Shop, we want you to come out here and set up a booth at our fan day so that people can learn more about you. There's not any other places that are like that because there's no other place that operates the way we do. And it's a lot of work behind the scenes, and I take a lot of pride in it. So if you're going to trust someone for your setups, if it's not me, I understand. I understand there's other options. There's places that are more affordable. I get that. I will not be hurt. But if you're going to trust someone else, please trust one of the good groups that are on here that aren't just taking your money. VRS, if what you want is their subscription package and it's $10 a month and it's cheap and you're going to go run mid-pack, but hey, it's better than the iRacing baseline, and it's only $10, go get that. Majors has free setups that are the baseline plus. I love Mike Gillette. He is a great guy. We did a charity event with them in the winter 2020. That was an amazing time. We raised, I think, like $500-600 for charity. Awesome group there. Majors Garage, great group. VRS, good group of people there. If you can't put a name and a face and associate all of that and go in and ask questions and be helped, don't spend your money there. Be very, very careful of where you spend your money. I think that's the biggest thing. So if you want to trust us, I would highly recommend it. We get to work with all these amazing people. eNASCAR, Junior Motorsports, all of our amazing partners. Abruzzi for all of our merch. You can go check out our merch store. Custom gloves and boots and hats and everything else, and sweatshirts and shirts, as you can see behind me. You can't buy that one. If you want one of those, you have to go to the Junior Motorsports Fan Day, which is coming up May 26th. It's a Thursday. So come out, meet me, meet my girlfriend Madison. She's going to be there helping me out. And
Where's that going to be?
that is at the Junior Motorsports facility in Mooresville, North Carolina on Thursday, June 26th. I think it's 10 to 3, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be there. Kelly's going to be there. All of their Xfinity Series drivers are going to be there, and their late model drivers as well. If you want high quality stuff, that's why we get to work with so many amazing people. The Sim Racer movie, yeah, shout out to them. I am very excited for that movie to come out. If you haven't seen the trailer, go check it out on YouTube. Awesome people there. I love Brock Drury. He is the director. I can't say what the cool things are in that movie, but there are a lot of really, really, really cool things, and I'm very excited for it. So if you when that movie releases, which is coming up in a couple months, there's no set date, but it's very, very, very close to finished. If you get the chance, go and see that movie if you're in one of the local theaters that's going to be showing it, or stream it online. That's going to be on multiple different streaming platforms. So be excited for that. If you're going to trust someone with your setups on iRacing, I know we're a little bit more expensive than VRS, than Majors, and some of these other groups, but I promise you the quality is there because we bring in the best of the best people and we keep them on board for the long haul. The reason it's more expensive is because I'm paying those guys top dollar to keep them here with me because I want them to give top quality products and work hard for each and every customer that we get to work with. It's more expensive to keep them on board. I put in way more money than I ever thought possible back into the iRacing community by paying them out. We do sponsorships. We do all these amazing things. And so if you're going to trust someone, I would highly recommend, I'm a bit biased, but I would highly recommend trusting us. Trust the guys over at Maconi Setup Shop. I would say we work harder than anyone else to make sure that you are getting what you're paying for and expecting. We're always here to help you. And our team is here for the long haul. I'm very proud of all the guys behind me at Maconi Setup Shop. It's amazing what we get to do and everything that has come of it. But it's been a lot of hard work, but almost a little over 2 years later now, I'd say it's well worth it because it's gotten me here, and there's so much more to come. There's so much.
Well, that's very well spoken, dude. That's very well said.
Thank you.
And if you do, as things progress, stay with the channel here too. We want to get you back on. We want to know your updates and you know what's hot, what's not. So don't forget us either. When you get all rich and famous, come back to the show every once in a while. Say hey.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
And don't forget to lean your numbers forward.
Always lean forward.
And Jeff, if you've ever got something you're wanting to promote and you're making your rounds and you want to stop by, just shoot me a message. Hey, I got this thing coming up I want to talk about. Just let me know. We'll have you on and let you talk about it. No big deal, man. We appreciate you coming on. And we'll be getting in touch with you about that sponsorship for Robert Cook.
That sounds good to me.
And get Junior to come on.
I will ask him at the Junior Motorsports Fan Day. If you're nearby on Thursday the 26th, be sure to head out there. We're going to be working with WR1. They're going to have a sim chassis there at our booth, and we'll have like a tent and everything. It's going to be great. So come on over, check it out, turn some laps, get a free T-shirt, sign up for a subscription. It's going to be a great time. Come meet Dale Jr. and all these other people. It's going to be a very cool time at the Junior Motorsports Fan Day.
Awesome, guys. Hey, we appreciate you tuning in for the podcast. Always appreciate having our team on here. The Admiral's been here, Tracy Rumschlag. He has been here the whole time. What a trooper. And I appreciate all of our guys. I appreciate Robert Cook being on as well. And most of all, we appreciate our special guest this week, Jeff Maconi from Maconi Setup Shop. Listen, if you guys have not done so yet and you like the podcast, like all the on-demand content we put up, Tracy and I spent all kind of time working. We put up a 3-part Motec series for you guys on demand. It's the first Motec part 1 is installation of Motec, installation of Mew, and also telling you how to get that workbook set up that I put all kind of time in. Tracy put time into it. We released a public workbook for all you guys. So we put out that 3-part series. The first one is installing it, getting it all set up. The second part is how to use it for the driver development section of the workbook. Tracy and I did that one. That was a long video. There's a lot to cover there. And part 3 was how to use it to build your setups and to do some setup analytics. And so guys, go check that out. So we have all kind of great on-demand content. If you like all that, make sure you subscribe. That helps us out of the channel very much. We really appreciate it. Also, there's a bell icon there. So anytime that we go, we put up more on-demand content, or we go live with anything like the podcast, we broadcast the Be Open Monday Night Strength of Field race. Me and Robert and Scotty do. And like, yeah, all the on-demand content, you will get notified if you hit that bell icon. And if you really want to help us, the most important thing you can do if you want to help us out is to simply share the videos, especially the on-demand content that we put a lot of work in. If you guys really like it, share it on Facebook, Discord, Instagram, who knows, wherever it is you share stuff, Twitter, wherever, share the videos. That helps us out the most, trying to get this out in front of as many people in the community as we can. Because that helps them, helps us, helps everybody. We really appreciate all that. And also, last thing I want to mention is down below in the description, always check that out. There's always all kinds of goodies down there for you guys. We've got an affiliate link to Majors Garage. Just disclosure, we get a small commission if you guys sign up for one of their monthly passes. And so that link is there. Plus, they offer their free baseline sets if you guys want to get a base that you can build your own sets off of. Then we have 2 other places you can get free sets linked down there to give you some solid bases to build off of, and that's osracing.net. And also Edwards Setup Shop is down there. They have the word setup shop in their name, but they're more like a community where they build setups, share them, and they offer them to you guys. They got a Discord, they're linked down there. And then also the last thing in the description is really cool. Jeff Maconi, he's right here with us. As soon as we started the YouTube channel, he said, "Hey Mike, let me get you a promo code for your viewers and subscribers. I just want to help them out with 10% off anytime they purchase any single set purchases in my shop." So that promo code is always down there in the description. Just type in area 51 with no space. It's area, the number 51, no space, get you 10% off of your single setup purchases at Maconi Setup Shop. And Jeff, does that cover coaching sessions as well? 10% off coaching sessions?
Yeah, I believe it's 10% off anything except for subscriptions. Because I cannot lower those prices anymore. My head would roll if I lowered those prices anymore. So
and that's what I tell people.
But
I've always told people I thought it covered coaching and everything, just not subscriptions. So everything but subscriptions. That promo code area 51 with no space gets you 10% off everything except subscriptions in Maconi Setup Shop. So always check out the description below in our videos. We got all kind of cool goodies in there for you guys. And every video we put up, just go check out the description. So that's all we got here tonight for the podcast. We appreciate everybody that's been here hanging out with us. We've had a lot of good interaction, a lot of good questions, a lot of good feedback from you guys tonight, and I hope you've really enjoyed getting to know Jeff a little better, just like we have. And we just appreciate you being here. So for myself, Jeff Maconi, the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Cook, and the Admiral, Tracy Rumschlag, and I am Mike Howerton, Mr. Excitement. Everybody here at Area 51, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And as always, we will see you in the next
one. Yeah, you need to talk to him about leaning that number forward. It's a good tenth. I'm telling you.